world of martial arts. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, The Day of Gambling. While controlling the strength in his arms, he used his true energy to resist the coldness of the waterfall. Even with the support of the chaos true energy art, Lin Ming felt that he could not hold on any longer. His arms began to tremble, and the veins on his forehead and forearms popped up one by one. After another half an incense stick of time, with a muffled bang, the tip of the piercing rainbow spear was finally hit hard on the rock by the water flow of the waterfall. Lin Ming half knelt on the rock, gasping for breath. He felt that his arms were not his own, and the true energy in his body was also consumed in large quantities. Plop. Lin Ming was washed down the rock by the water flow of the waterfall. He stabbed out with a spear and stabbed on the rock before he stabilized himself in the water. About a quarter of an hour, it's already the limit. Unfortunately, if I had a true essence stone at this time, I would be able to recover quickly and continue to practice. I will soon have a bet with Zhang Kang. If I win his true essence stone, I can use it for a while. After that, I must find a way myself. Time passed day by day. Lin Ming practiced spear for 2 hours every day in the cold pond waterfall. While practicing spear, he was also tempering his body. The medicinal power of the golden snake red ghoul pill had been completely absorbed by him. Although Lin Ming's cultivation level still remained at the beginning of the 3rd level of physical training, his realm had been thoroughly consolidated. In 8 days, Lin Ming used up all the 16 hours of practice time he saved. On the last day, Lin Ming was able to hold the piercing rainbow spear and stand in the waterfall for an hour in one breath. In the initial stage, the spear was almost motionless, and only after half an hour did it begin to shake slightly. 2 days later, it had been a full month since Lin Ming came to the 7 Zuanwu mansion. As usual, Lin Ming got up early. He stood under a century-old tree in front of the wooden house, holding the butt of the piercing rainbow spear, with both hands stretched out, holding the 8-foot-long spear weighing 820 kilograms horizontally. On the tip of the piercing rainbow spear, there was a porcelain bowl filled with water. Under Lin Ming's steady strength, the bowl of water did not spill at all, as if it was placed on the table and stable. The time for training was up, and he could not go to the cold pond waterfall. Lin Ming could only practice with his own original method. Lin Ming practiced until noon, and then he simply ate something, took a short rest, and then carried the piercing rainbow spear on his back and headed straight to the martial arts arena of the 7 Zuanwu mansion. Today was the day for him to fight with Zhang Kang. Although it was already autumn, the sun was still very hot at noon. It was the time of the day when the yang energy was the strongest and the sun was the hottest. Few ordinary people would go out at this time, and most of them would take a nap at home. However, many people gathered at the martial arts arena of the 7 Zuanwu mansion. Most of these people were disciples of the Earth Hall and the Human Hall of the 7 Zuanwu mansion, and some of them came from the Heaven Hall. Although the sun was hot at this time, there was no trace of sweat on their faces. They were still calm and unhurried. Obviously, none of them was a mediocre person. Today was the day for Lin Ming, Zhang Kang, Wang Yanfeng, and Liu Mingxiang to fight. Among these 4 people, 2 were the 1st and 2nd place in the freshman assessment, and the other 2 were strong old disciples. This gimmick was enough to attract the attention of many disciples of the 7 Zuanwu mansion. The disciples of the Hall of Humanity came to watch the excitement, while the disciples of the Hall of Earth and the Palace of Heaven came to see their rivals. No matter Lin Ming or Wang Yanfeng, their rankings will definitely rise in the future. Even the disciples of the Palace of Heaven will not underestimate them. Of course, that is a matter for the future. Now, their strength is still a little immature. There is not much suspense about the outcome of these 2 games. There have been battles between freshmen and old students in the past, and the freshmen hardly won. Moreover, Liu Mingxiang and Zhang Kang who are fighting this time are masters. Lin Ming and Wang Yanfeng have no hope. A disciple of the Palace of Heaven looked at the sundial that was used to count the time beside the martial arts arena and said slowly, "That's true. But don't underestimate Lin Ming. When he first entered the Wu mansion, I didn't pay attention to him. but in the last 10,000 killings formation assessment, he managed to rank 126th. This is an amazing result. He is only facing Zhang Kang this time. If he faces Liu Mingxiang, Liu Mingxiang might end up in trouble. Do you think Liu Mingxiang will lose to Lin Ming? No way. After all, Lin Ming has limited talent. Although his ranking in the 10,000 killings formation was not much different from Liu Mingxiang last time, that was the result of taking 2 top grade elixirs as assessment rewards. In this month, can he catch up with Liu Mingxiang? Talent? Are you still staring at Lin Ming's talent? No matter what adventures Lin Ming has had, no matter how many elixirs Lin Ming has taken, the strength he has shown now has completely ignored his talent. Anyone who underestimates him because of his talent will definitely suffer. Said a Qianxue Mansion disciple affirmatively. You overestimate Lin Ming. When I went to the library last time, I paid special attention to the techniques Lin Ming selected. The Earth Hall disciple who was speaking deliberately dragged out his tone. After attracting the attention of many people, he slowly said, the techniques Lin Ming selected are "basic spear techniques and "basic steps, and there is also a damaged "body shattering fist." With just these, how much progress can he make in a month of practice? The reason he was able to get 126 last time was because he took 2 miraculous medicines, red gold dragon marrow pill and golden snake red gall pill, at the same time. After taking such medicines, even a pig would have greatly improved its cultivation. After all, Lin Ming's talent is limited. He cannot practice high-level techniques and high-level martial arts. With just these 2 simplest basic things, how can he possibly surpass Liu Mingxiang? Lin Ming stood out from the crowd in the 10,000 killings formation, which easily attracted the attention of other disciples in the martial academy. Many people went to see the techniques Lin Ming selected. This kind of thing was easy to check. It was all written on the sticky notes, and anyone who wanted to see it could see it. What? Basic spear technique and basic steps? Lin Ming actually chose these? Such skills will never be powerful, no matter how you practice them. I thought he would choose shadowless skill or 9 yang absolute skill or something like that. Haha, shadowless skill? 9 yang absolute skill? Such skills are of course good, but can ordinary people practice them? Have you forgotten Lin Ming's talent? I guess this guy's comprehension is also limited. He knows himself well, so he chose these 2 simplest sets. You wait and see. The halo on Lin Ming's body in this gambling fight should be taken off. The tone of the disciple who spoke was obviously gloating. Lin Ming had only been in the 7 profound martial palace for such a short time, but he was already ranked ahead of him, which made him very unhappy. At this time, there was a commotion in the crowd. A group of people in the distance automatically made way, and 2 men about 20 years old walked over side by side. One of the 2 was thin, and had a cold and resolute face. He carried a black heavy sword on his back. Although he was just walking around casually, he had a sharp aura, as if he was a cold and sharp sword that had been unsheathed. The other was strong and tall, with muscles all over his body. He carried a purple black 8-foot long stick on his back. He walked steadily and silently. If you use a ruler to measure his footprints, you will find that the distance between each 2 footprints is exactly the same. 6 feet per step, no more, no less. This is the performance after practicing the top level Qinggang 6-foot step in the 7 Zuan Wu Mansion Library. Ling Sen. Tuoku. These 2 people actually came to watch the game. Most of the people who came to watch this game were disciples of the Earth Hall. Although there were people from the Heaven Mansion, most of them were ranked after 50 or 60, at the bottom of the Heaven Mansion rankings. They were afraid that they would be squeezed out by the people behind them, so they came to see the situation. And Ling Sen and Tuoku, their status in the ranking stone was unshakable, and they actually came to watch this gambling competition inside the Earth Hall. Chapter 77 Ling Sen Tuoku. In the Qinggang Wu Mansion, Ling Sen, Tuoku, and Zhang Guanyu have absolute authority. Even the core disciples of the Wu Mansion cannot compare to them. These 3 people have been ranked in the top 3 of the ranking stone since the 3rd year after entering the Qinggang Wu Mansion, and have maintained it until now, suppressing others without any temper. The ranking stone only shows the ranking, not the score, so no one knows how many points these 3 people have pulled the 4th place. There was a rumor that Zhang Guanyu fell behind the 4th place by tens of thousands of points, and it is not known whether it is true or not. In short, the strength of Ling Sen, Tuoku, and Zhang Guanyu is unfathomable. It is rumored that Ling Sen, who has half a foot in the 5th level of physical training, already has the strength to compete with the warriors in the condensation vein stage. Such an awesome person, who should pay attention to? Zhang Kang and Liu Mingxiang were out of the question. Although they were strong, they had not made it into the top 100 in the ranking stone in 2 years. It was definitely not Ling Sen and Tuoku's turn to pay attention to them. Wang Yanfeng was also not qualified. Although his 4th grade superior talent was top notch, in the eyes of Ling Sen and Tuoku, he was just average. His first time making it into the top 180 was not worth paying attention to. Then it would only be Lin Ming. They wanted to see who this young man who had reached 126th place in the first 10,000 killings array assessment and even beat Zhang Guanyu was. At this time, in the crowd, Zhang Kang and Liu Mingxiang had just arrived, but because of Ling Sen and Tuoku, their limelight was completely stolen. No one paid attention to the two parties involved in the gambling fight. Zhang Kang was naturally not so narcissistic as to think that Ling Sen and Tuoku came to watch the gambling fight for him, so of course they were here to see Lin Ming. Realizing this made Zhang Kang feel very uncomfortable. Even if he could win, Ling Sen and Tuoku's attention would not be on him. HMPH. You all underestimated me. I will let you know how stupid and wrong your judgment was. Zhang Kang secretly clenched his fists. Liu Mingxiang also gritted his teeth and said, Zhang Kang, this time we must not only win, but also win cleanly and neatly. Within 5 moves, we must trample these two ignorant little guys under our feet. Otherwise we will really be looked down upon by others. HMPH, I will leave mark on that kid surnamed Lin, so that he will regret coming to this gambling fight. Zhang Kang touched the handle of the narrow knife in his hand, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. This was also Zhu Yan's care, not only to strike his martial arts heart, but also to seriously injure him, and it would be best if it could affect his future cultivation. At this time, Lin Ming and Wang Yanfeng also arrived. Today, Lin Ming was wearing a black suit and carrying a purple-black 8-foot-long spear on his back. The 820 Jin Guanhang spear was carried on Lin Ming's shoulders without bending his spine at all. He himself stood straight like the Guanhang spear. Although he was only at the 3rd level of physical training, his condensed true essence and heavy momentum gave people a sense of being unshakable. This Lin Ming is not bad. Tuoku said. The gun behind him looks like it is made of purple-black iron, the same material as my stick. A gun like that weighs more than 800 kilograms, and the power contained in the gun is terrifying. He dares to use this weapon, and he is very confident in his own strength. Tuoku's weapon is a stick that is rarely used by warriors. Guns are rare, but at least they can still be seen in the army, and this stick is not used in the army. Only some temples that do not advocate killing will use it. The stick is the kindest among soldiers. Tuoku's stick weighs 860 kilograms. The stick body is made of purple-black iron, and the two ends are made of cloud-patterned iron. Although it is not a treasure, it contains terrifying elasticity when hitting people. The power of top-level sticks is often described as a rub will injure, a touch will kill, and this is because of the terrifying trembling power contained in the stick. If you rub it, you will be injured, and if you hit it with a stick, the armor will explode. So for a weapon like a stick, the power of the treasure stick is not as good as the purple crow bullet iron. In some aspects, the gun is similar to the stick, but the moves are more complex and varied. Tuoku uses a stick, so he naturally feels a sense of familiarity with Lin Ming who uses a gun. Both types of weapons are equally rare, but it's a pity that he faced Zhang Kang. I can't see the situation of Lin Ming clearly. I don't know whether he will soar to the sky or be mediocre in the future, but now, he is no match for Zhang Kang. How many moves do you think Lin Ming will fight with Zhang Kang? Tuoku asked Ling Sen on the side. Ling Sen looked at Tuoku and asked, are you sure Lin Ming will lose? Oh, did you think Lin Ming would win? Tuoku felt that he had overestimated Lin Ming and ignored his talent, treating him as a possible rival, but he didn't expect that Ling Sen's evaluation was higher. Ling Sen paid attention to Lin Ming On the one hand, because Lin Ming ranked 126th in the first Wancha Array assessment, and on the other hand because Lin Ming broke his own record in the assessment of the martial arts heart of the illusionary realm. This proved that Lin Ming's martial arts heart had surpassed him. Although Ling Xian's heart was as strong as iron and strong without desire, he was not without flaws. His flaw was the heart of killing. Ling Xian was bloodthirsty and murderous, and his hostility was too heavy to break this in a demon. Of course, Lin Ming also had flaws. People are not heaven and earth, and it is impossible for them to have no flaws in their hearts. It depends on whose flaw is smaller. Ling Xian's talent is of the lower 4th rank. In the Qianxue mansion where many geniuses gather, this talent can only be considered okay, but he firmly occupies the first place in the Qianxue mansion of the Qianxue mansion with his strong martial arts heart. Now, he sees the shadow of his past in Lin Ming, and he wants to see if Lin Ming can also create a miracle. Ling Xian said, "I'm not sure whether Lin Ming can win or lose, but I remember that when Lin Ming broke into the 10,000 killings formation, he was still at the peak of the 2nd level of physical training, but now he has reached the 3rd level of physical training." It's true. Unless the strength gap is too large, the strength of the warrior is obvious at a glance. At this time, Zhang Kang and Liu Mingxiang naturally noticed the growth of Lin Ming's strength. This kid is so lucky that he managed to break through at this time. It's the effect of the red gold dragon marrow pill and the golden snake red gall pill. After taking these two elixirs together, the medicinal effects are slowly released. It's not surprising that he broke through a realm, otherwise he would not have been able to rush to the 126th place in the ranking stone. Zhang Kang, you have to be careful and don't suffer losses due to carelessness. Humph, you think too highly of him. He practiced the basic spear tactics and the basic steps. Such skills without any depth are not powerful, even if they are practiced to perfection. Only idiots who have no confidence in their own strength will choose them. My swordsmanship is all about speed, and his clumsy spear skills can't even touch the corner of my clothes. At this time, the shadow of the sundial slowly pointed to 3/4 afternoon, and the time was up. Chapter 78, it will come out when it comes. Liu Mingxiang came on stage first, pointed his sword at Wang Yanfeng, and said with a smile, "Wang Yanfeng, come up and die." Humph. Wang Yanfeng snorted coldly, and went on stage fearlessly. The bet between him and Liu Mingxiang was also set on this day. This Wang Yanfeng is really courageous. Lin Ming could see that Wang Yanfeng's momentum was not fake. The gap between Wang Yanfeng and Liu Mingxiang was too big. Even if Wang Yanfeng had excellent talent, it would be impossible for him to catch up within a month. However, facing a battle with a slim chance of winning, he still had the courage and momentum, which was very rare. Wang Yanfeng drew out his treasure sword and poured his true essence into it. The 9 green runes of 9 true words lit up one by one, and his body was several times more solid than when he fought with Lin Ming before. In the past month, Wang Yanfeng's crazy training, although he failed to reach the peak of the 3rd level of physical training, but it also made the degree of true essence training of the internal organs more thorough, consolidating the 3rd level of physical training. Seeing Wang Yanfeng's 9-word sword technique, Liu Mingxiang smiled and said, "You have made some progress, but unfortunately you are still far behind me. Prepare to die." Liu Mingxiang shouted, drew out his long sword, and slashed at Wang Yanfeng. In midair, his sword turned purple-gray, and flashed with strange light. Bang bang bang. Liu Mingxiang swung out 3 swords in a row. The treasure-level longsword was infused with Liu Mingxiang's true essence, and made a fierce sound of gas explosion. Wang Yanfeng took a step back slightly, and the 9 mantra symbols on the sword body shone brightly. With one sword strike, Liu Mingxiang's sword wind was immediately weakened by the slash. Wang Yanfeng struck out with another sword, and broke Liu Mingxiang's first sword wind. Cha-cha-cha. Wang Yanfeng fought and retreated, repeatedly cutting through Liu Mingxiang's sword wind. For a moment, the air was torn apart like cloth. Wang Yanfeng walked steadily in the wanton energy flow without any confusion. "You have some skills, but you are still far from it. Heavenly King slashing wheel sword." Liu Mingxiang took a step forward. His true essence turned a richer purple. His aura was boiling like boiling water. His 3-foot-long sword flashed with the brilliance of the purple sun, and a 3-foot-long Dharma wheel formed by the true essence appeared on the tip of Liu Mingxiang's sword, spinning rapidly. Heavenly King Slashing Wheel Sword. It is a high-level martial art recorded in the library, and it is extremely difficult to practice, but Liu Mingxiang has mastered it. Wang Yanfeng is in danger. Lin Ming narrowed his eyes and looked at the Heavenly King Slashing Wheel in the field. The Dharma wheel formed by the true essence formed a strange system in itself. In his opinion, there was no flaw. However, Lin Ming found that Liu Mingxiang was very reluctant to support the Heavenly King Slashing Wheel. In the process of infusing the true essence into the longsword treasure, there were too many inconsistencies. If Wang Yanfeng wanted to win, he had to rush out now and cut off the supply of true energy in Liu Mingxiang's treasure. However, Wang Yanfeng was not an inscription master, and he did not understand the Tai soul art, so it was impossible for him to see the flow route of the true energy in Liu Mingxiang's treasure. At this time, Wang Yanfeng moved. Although Liu Mingxiang was imposing at this time, Wang Yanfeng resolutely went against the current. He knew very well that, if he did not go up at this time, he would have no chance. He must break Liu Mingxiang's Heavenly King Slashing Wheel before his moves condensed to the highest point. Wang Yanfeng swung his sword. His target was neither the Heavenly King Slashing Wheel nor the places in Liu Mingxiang's treasure, where the true energy flow was not smooth. He attacked Liu Mingxiang's chest. The long sword was infused with true energy, and there was a faint flash of lightning, carrying the sound of wind and thunder. Martial Arts Thunder Cloud Slash. This move was exactly the high-level martial arts that Wang Yanfeng chose in the library. At that time, Wang Yanfeng chose Shen Angong, Hong Huloi and Lianzhen in the library. None of these 3 martial arts was simple. Even if Wang Yanfeng was gifted, he could not learn them in a short time. Shen Angong is a martial art. It is practiced to improve cultivation. It is not a one-day job to rely on it to improve strength. Hong Huloi is a light skill, which also cannot improve frontal combat effectiveness. Therefore, Wang Yanfeng spent most of this month on Lianzhen. Now, his Lianzhen has achieved some success. He wants to use this move to achieve unexpected results. Naive. How can Lianzhen, who has only practiced for a month, compare with my Xian Wangzhen Lun? Liu Mingxiang shouted, and the long sword slashed down with the Xian Wangzhen Lun. The purple Xian Wangzhen Lun, with the rotating force that devoured everything, fell heavily. Boom. The thunder cloud slash and the Heavenly King Slash Wheel collided. The fierce collision of the true essence pressed the air into a substantial air film, rushing around like a tide. Lightning flashed in the air, and Wang Yanfeng and Liu Mingxiang flew backwards at the same time. Liu Mingxiang's body turned several times in the air, and finally landed on the ground with his sword. The blood in his chest rolled, and it was obvious that the collision just now made him feel very uncomfortable. However, Wang Yanfeng was even worse. His body flew backwards more than 10 feet away, and hit a big tree heavily, and a stream of blood spurted out of his mouth. This Wang Yanfeng lost. It's expected, but it's already very good that he can beat Liu Mingxiang to this extent. How can the freshman beat the old student? Everyone is a genius. We have stayed in this Kixanwu mansion for several more years. If we lose to the freshman, wouldn't our years be in vain? Then Lin Ming will definitely lose. These freshmen, if we don't give them a beating, they still think they are riding on our heads. An old disciple of the Earth Hall curled his lips and said disdainfully. Wang Yanfeng supported his sword, knelt on one knee, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his left hand, stared at Liu Mingxiang coldly, and threw out 5 Xinyuan stones. What you took from me today, I will double it back in the future. Wang Yanfeng spit out this sentence viciously, and every word sounded like a golden stone falling to the ground, and it was very pleasant to the ears. After finishing speaking, he turned around and supported his sword, dragging his injured leg, and left step by step. Watching Wang Yanfeng leave, Lin Ming actually admired Wang Yanfeng a little. Speaking of Wang Yanfeng, he was really unlucky. Since entering the 7 Zuanwu mansion, he has been frustrated and defeated repeatedly. If it were a genius with a proud heart, he would probably be unable to recover from this, but Wang Yanfeng could be indomitable, which made people admire him. Lin Ming, come up, it's your turn. You will have the same fate. After Liu Mingxiang, Zhang Kang walked onto the martial arts field. Zhang Kang's ranking stone score was 103, and his strength was much higher than Liu Mingxiang. Lin Ming walked onto the martial arts arena with the rainbow spear on his back, facing Zhang Kang from a distance. The battle between Wang Yanfeng and Liu Mingxiang was just an appetizer, while the battle between Lin Ming and Zhang Kang was the highlight of today's gambling fight. Most of the people present came for this gambling fight. Among these people, the freshman naturally hoped that Lin Ming would fight for his reputation. Even if he lost, he couldn't lose too badly, while the seniors hoped that Zhang Kang could win with an overwhelming advantage, so that these self-righteous freshmen would know the gap between them and the seniors. Seeing Lin Ming on the stage, Ling Sen and Tuoku also paid more attention. Why did Lin Ming rank 126th on the ranking stone? The result will be revealed soon. The battle officially began, and Zhang Kang drew out the narrow knife. This knife had no blade guard. The blade was directly connected to the handle. The blade was 2 feet and 8 inches long, and the handle was no longer than 3 inches. The blade was as thin as paper. At first glance, it was clear that this was an extremely fast knife. There is no doubt that this knife is a treasure. As a disciple ranked around 100 in the 7 Zuan Wu house, even if he is not from an aristocratic family, he can easily be recruited by a big force. With the generous treatment of joining a big force, getting a treasure is nothing. Draw your spear, Lin Ming. I want to see how you practice the basic spear technique. Have you made a small success? Such a simple skill should be a small success in a month. Zhang Kang had a mischievous smile on his face. Not to mention the small success of the basic spear technique. Even if it is perfect, it is not a threat to him. The more Ling Sentaku pays attention to Lin Ming, the more he will trample Lin Ming under his feet. Zhang Kang poured his true energy into the narrow knife. Seeing that Lin Ming was still standing still, he frowned. Aren't you going to use a weapon? Lin Ming said slowly, when it comes, it will come out naturally. What did you say? Zhang Kang was furious. As a top disciple of the Earth Hall, he was actually despised by a junior who had just entered the Wu house, and the opponent's strength was not as good as his. He simply didn't know how to live or die. You will naturally come out when the time comes. Good. Very good. Today I will see if you still have a chance to pull out your gun. Chapter 79, Barehanded Blade. This Lin Ming is too arrogant. He didn't even use his weapon immediately when facing Zhang Kang. Zhang Kang's sword is known for its speed, but Lin Ming's weapon is a heavy spear, which is inherently slow. He also carries it on his back. I bet he will be forced to be unable to fight back by Zhang Kang's dazzling sword skills, and he won't have a chance to draw his weapon until he loses. Lion Tuoku also shook his head slightly. This Lin Ming is really careless. Does he want to catch the blade with his bare hands? Zhang Kang's sword is a treasure that can cut hair with a breath. After being infused with true energy, it can cut iron like mud. Even if Lin Ming has mastered bone forging, he can't catch it with his hands. Ling Sen looked at Lin Ming in silence. Although he didn't understand Lin Ming, from the perspective of martial arts alone, Lin Ming should not be an arrogant person who underestimates the enemy. What exactly he is thinking, you will know after watching. You want to die? I'll grant you your wish. Zhang Kang laughed grimly and suddenly stood up from his standing position. His body turned into a black phantom on the martial arts field. The tap 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 footsteps sounded like a torrential rain hitting the lotus leaves. Extremely fast steps. Top level light skill. 7 stars flowing clouds. Crystal. Suddenly, a chilling sound of a blade trembling rang in the air. Zhang Kang's knife rushed out like lightning, and from a tricky angle, it went straight to Lin Ming's ribs from bottom to top. That knife did not use any martial arts, but the thin and narrow knife itself was infused with Zhang Kang's condensed true essence. The speed was extremely fast, and the power was also incredibly strong. The impeccable knife was unstoppable. Even for a martial artist who is proficient in body skills, it is impossible to dodge faster than the knife speed. Even for a master using a light weapon, it is difficult to block Zhang Kang's knife from the side to the armpit with a tricky angle. Moreover, Lin Ming's body movement was only the basic steps, and the weapon he used was a heavy gun that lacks speed, and at this time, his gun was on his back. How to block it? Even Ling Xian's pupils shrank slightly, and he stared at Zhang Kang's knife with full concentration, unable to predict what would happen next. And at this moment, Lin Ming suddenly stretched out his right hand and slapped the narrow knife with his palm. Seeing this scene, Tuoku's eyes widened instantly. This Lin Ming is crazy. Hand against knife. Barehanded to catch the blade. That is a precious sword infused with true energy. This Lin Ming, don't use your hands. Question mark? Zhang Kang's mouth showed a trace of a grim smile. Blocking with your hand. Haha, if I don't cut off your hand, I have practiced swordsmanship for 12 years in vain. In that lightning moment, people had no time to react, and Lin Ming's hand had already slapped Zhang Kang's knife heavily. At that moment, the countless small units on Lin Ming's hand had a completely consistent breathing rhythm, and the true energy formed a resonance in this breathing, and waves of true energy surged out like a tide. The true essence vibrated, and the strength was like a thread. In an instant, the strong true essence fluctuation was transmitted to the narrow knife, and the blade actually trembled violently. The true essence that Zhang Kang had infused into it was instantly dispersed by Lin Ming's true essence fluctuation. The grim smile on Zhang Kang's face suddenly solidified. He only felt a numbness in his tiger's mouth and almost couldn't hold the knife. What? Such a change caught him off guard. Before he had time to figure out what was going on, Lin Ming had already punched him straight at Zhang Kang's chest. This punch seemed ordinary, but it was full of the vibration of true essence. It was the so-called bone-breaking fist. If it was hit hard by a punch, Zhang Kang would at least lose half his life. After all, Zhang Kang had been in the army for many years, and he had formed an intuition about danger in the long-term life and death battles. Facing Lin Ming's punch, Zhang Kang instinctively felt a huge danger. He stepped on the ground, and the 7 stars flowing clouds body method of the great success level was suddenly displayed. Zhang Kang's body suddenly retreated, and he narrowly avoided Lin Ming's punch. However, although he dodged the punch, Zhang Kang was still touched by the fist wind. Just the fist wind touching his body made Zhang Kang feel as if his heartbeat, lung expansion and contraction, and gastrointestinal peristalsis were all pulled by some strange frequency, causing his blood and qi to surge, and he wanted to spit out blood. What's going on? Zhang Kang was shocked. Because of the reversal of blood and qi in his body, he staggered to the ground, retreated several steps, and stabilized his body with his knife. Seeing this instant fight, everyone in the audience was stunned. What happened just now? Lin Ming blocked Zhang Kang's knife with his bare hands. Then he threw a punch, and the fist wind alone made Zhang Kang stagger, retreat several steps, and almost fall. An old disciple of the Earth Hall subconsciously rubbed his eyes, almost thinking that he was dazzled. Oh my god, am I seeing right? Is this Lin Ming really a human? Are his arms and legs made of iron? He is invulnerable to swords and spears, and can catch swords with his bare hands. Zhang Kang clearly dodged that punch, so how could he be knocked back several steps? How is it possible? Lin Ming was ranked 126th a month ago. How could he become so powerful in the blink of an eye? Now that you mention it, when he first entered the 7 Profound Martial Palace, he was not much stronger than Wang Yanfeng. But a few days later, in the ranking of the 10,000 killing formation, Wang Yanfeng ranked more than 170, while Lin Ming ranked 126. I don't know where these words came from, but everyone felt a chill in their hearts when they heard it. This is simply an evil-like speed of improvement! Exclamation mark. The Earth Hall disciple who had previously mocked Lin Ming for practicing the basic spear technique and basic steps still couldn't believe what had just happened. He murmured, no. He was clearly practicing the basic spear technique. This is impossible. Brother, did you see that palm and punch just now clearly? Tuo asked Ling Xian, who was standing beside him with a serious look on his face. Ling Xian frowned. I didn't see it clearly. There was some mystery in Lin Ming's palm when he slapped the knife, but it was not as exaggerated as it looks. He slapped the knife body, not the blade, so his palm was okay. But Lin Ming is really skilled and bold. He dared to slap such a fast knife. If he is not careful, his hand will be gone. Tuoku said. Even if he slapped the knife body, the blade would definitely hurt his hand with one palm. What's more, Zhang Kang's knife is infused with true energy, which can cut iron like mud. Lin Ming dared to do this. He must have something to rely on. No wonder Lin Ming dared to say before that when the time comes, he will naturally draw his gun. He simply thinks that Zhang Kang is not worthy of him drawing his gun. While Tuoku was speaking, he felt his heart trembling. When he had just arrived at the Kixanwu mansion for a month, he had no confidence in challenging the disciples ranked around 100th. Lin Ming's palm strike did not hit the blade, just as Ling Sen said. Lin Ming's strikes were always accurate and precise, and he dared to block the blade with his hands only after his training strength was as strong as silk and his true essence shook the opponent's guard. At this time, Zhang Kang stood more than 10 feet away and looked at Lin Ming with a hint of fear in his eyes. Lin Ming's palm strike and punch just now made him feel that Lin Ming was unfathomable. Zhang Kang's advantage was close combat, and close combat was also the best way to win against weapons like spears, but now, he no longer had any confidence to face Lin Ming's fists and palm strikes. Gritting his teeth, Zhang Kang clenched the hilt of the knife with both hands. Lin Ming, you really surprised me, but don't think you have won yet. Take my strongest blow. If he couldn't fight in close combat, Zhang Kang still had martial arts. Chapter 80, The Dragon Goes Out to Sea. Even though he couldn't fight in close combat, Zhang Kang still had martial arts. He shouted, and his aura suddenly burst out. He desperately poured his true energy into the narrow blade. The originally bright white narrow blade was actually faintly coated with a layer of deep red, like blood. It's Luoxia slash. This Zhang Kang actually mastered this top level sword technique martial art. Everyone present widened their eyes. They thought that the battle that would be a complete victory for Zhang Kang turned into a fight between dragons and tigers. Now even if Zhang Kang used Luoxia slash, no one thought that Lin Ming would lose. Zhang Kang raised the narrow blade above his head, and a blood-like red light spurted out from Zhang Kang's blade. There was actually a visible red air in the surrounding air that faintly connected into a red glow, which continuously gathered into Zhang Kang's body. Seeing this scene, Lin Ming slowly pulled out the gun on his back. His current state of strength training, which had just begun, could catch a blade with bare hands, but it was not enough to catch a martial art with bare hands. Holding the gun with one hand, with the forearm parallel to the gun barrel and the elbow pressing the gun tail, the 820 Gen heavy, 8-foot 8-inch long one-hand gun was smoothly extended horizontally. The gun tip was motionless, as if it was cast in iron. This was the opening move of the basic gun technique, iron bridge blocking the river. Lin Ming has drawn his gun. That's the opening move of the basic gun technique. Oh my god, is it really the basic gun technique? Is Lin Ming going to use the basic gun technique to fight against the falling cloud slash? That's crazy. Everyone stared with their eyes wide open, fearing that they would miss any details of the battle. If Lin Ming had used a top level martial art, they would not be so excited now. Basic gun technique versus falling cloud slash. What would be the result? Now no one dared to underestimate Lin Ming's basic gun technique. This most basic and simple gun technique had become unfathomable because of Lin Ming's momentum. The basic spear technique is indeed not a profound skill. The entire set of spear techniques only contains the most basic spear moves. However, even the basic spear moves, combined with Lin Ming's terrifying power of more than 4,200 kilograms, the condensed true essence brought by the chaos true essence technique, plus the strange realm of training strength, the power of this spear is also extremely terrifying. Zhang Kang gritted his teeth. His facial muscles were completely twisted. With his current strength, it was quite difficult to support the falling cloud slash. Lin Ming, you go to hell. Zhang Kang shouted. The narrow knife in his hand swept the endless red cloud energy. The surrounding air was violently ringing because of the vortex of energy. The red knife wind was like a red cloud pressing down, covering the sky and the earth, and some of the weaker disciples of the nearby Hall of Humanity changed their colors and could not withstand the power of this attack. Too strong. Those disciples of the Hall of Humanity suddenly had an irresistible thought in their hearts. If they were standing in this attack, I'm afraid that the power of the red cloud energy alone would overwhelm them. The surging red energy flow rushed towards him. In comparison, Lin Ming's iron bridge blocking the river was simple and clean, without any fancy features. No matter how strong he is, the iron bridge blocks the river. Since you want to read my basic spear technique, then fine, I will only practice one move of this spear technique, the dragon going out of the sea. Lin Ming shouted loudly, holding the Guanhong spear and suddenly stabbed it out. The so-called dragon going out of the sea is actually a straight stab. There are many spear moves, which can be chopped, danced, pointed, circled, and slapped, but the most fundamental one is stabbing. Stabbing is the soul of the spear. The 820 Jin heavy spear, with a spear stabbed out, with the momentum of the collapse of the mountains, the 8-foot spear light, broke through everything. With a simple straight stab, Lin Ming's momentum suddenly soared, and a surging mountain and river momentum gathered from all directions, and merged into Lin Ming's body. Lin Ming had only practiced this move of the dragon leaving the sea less than 1,000 times, but he had practiced holding the spear under the waterfall day after day, and had already practiced it to the point where the spear was as stable as a cast. Zhang Kang's overwhelming Luoxia slash was like a raging torrent, but no matter how raging the torrent was, it could not withstand the waterfall blessed by the innate master with the formation, so how could it shake Lin Ming's spear? The red clouds all over the sky and the plains melted quickly like white snow touching a branding iron, but Lin Ming's spear, with its majestic momentum, broke through everything. The narrow knife wins by speed, and in terms of the situation of the mountains and rivers, it will definitely lose if it fights hard with the spear. Bang! The red clouds melted away, and Zhang Kang flew out backwards, spitting blood, and fell to the ground, his life or death unknown. Lin Ming put away the spear and stood in the center of the martial arts field. At this time, he was like the straight rainbow spear, with a sharp and unshakable momentum. It's so scary, this Lin Ming really won. The basic spear art. Is the basic spear art so powerful? What Lin Ming used just now was really the basic spear art. I want to learn it. You want to learn it? Are you stupid? You think it's the basic spear art that's powerful? It's simply that Lin Ming is too strong. He is strong in anything he uses. What he just used was the Jiana long out to sea move in the basic spear art. To put it bluntly, it's a straight stab. This move is very common in the army. Soldiers practice it every day, but they don't see how awesome it is. There is nothing fancy about this straight stab, but in Lin Ming's hands, it was just this simple move that broke the Luoxia slash. Lin Ming, who has just entered the Lianzang realm and has half a foot in the Yijin realm, still won. It is not surprising to defeat the enemy by surpassing half a realm. However, the scary thing is that Zhang Kang, who was defeated by the cross level, is himself an extremely talented genius. If Zhang Kang leaves our Wufu, it may not be impossible for him to defeat someone at the peak of Yijin. Have you noticed that Lin Ming didn't move from the beginning of his appearance on the stage to the moment he won the game? Not knowing who said this, everyone looked towards where Lin Ming was standing. Sure enough, after Lin Ming came on stage, he threw a palm, a punch, and a gun, but he did not move. Realizing this, even some disciples of Xian Sifu felt a chill down their spines. Although Lin Ming was still ranked outside the top 100, he would sooner or later enter Xian Sifu. With such a person chasing after him, they all felt like a thorn in their backs. Liu Mingxiang looked at Lin Ming, and his Adam's apple twitched fiercely. He was completely scared. The only thing he was thankful for now was that Zhu Yan had been looking for Zhang Kang, not him. Otherwise he would be lying on the ground today. After testing Zhang Kang's pulse, he was not in danger of life, but his injuries were too severe, with several fractures. Even with top-level medicine for injury treatment, he would have to stay in bed for more than half a month. Lin Ming did not kill him. In the 7 Zuanwu Palace, killing the opponent in a fight was strictly prohibited. However, the previous blow was suspected to be too heavy. However, Liu Mingxiang did not dare to pursue it. He hurriedly carried the unconscious Zhang Kang on his back and prepared to leave. At this time, Lin Ming said, "Where are the true essence stones?" 20. Chapter 81 The Embryo of Martial Will. At the beginning, when Lin Ming and Zhang Kang were fighting, Zhang Kang was arrogant and said that if he lost, he would pay 20 Zenyuan stones. Thinking about this now, Liu Mingxiang groaned in his heart. How could Zhang Kang have 20 Zenyuan stones? Liu Mingxiang would not carry a lot of Zenyuan stones on him. He searched Zhang Kang for a while, and then collected some of his own. He was still short of 5, so he borrowed from everywhere and finally collected 20. After handing them to Lin Ming, Liu Mingxiang carried Zhang Kang on his back and fled away. Lin Ming won, and from beginning to end, he only stepped left and forward when he was posing and shooting, and his right foot never moved. It was a veritable iron bridge blocking the river, unshakable. Tuoku touched the long stick behind him, and a hint of fighting spirit flashed in his eyes. Although Lin Ming was not yet strong enough to be his opponent, it was probably not too far away from that moment. Ling Xian said, "Zhang Guan, I will probably regret not coming to watch this game." After this battle, Lin Ming will attract the attention of the top leaders of the martial academy. When he grows up, he will be our rival. If he doesn't work hard, this little junior brother will climb over him. Competition is fun. I can never compete with you. I have no confidence. Lin Ming is very suitable to be my opponent. Indeed, he will become my rival in the future. Brother, I'm very surprised why Lin Ming has improved so fast. In the last Wancha formation assessment, he was able to get 126th place. It should be the effect of taking the red gold dragon marrow pill and the golden snake red gold pill. How come his strength has soared again this time? Ling Xian said, everyone's fate is hard to explain. If I'm not mistaken, Lin Ming should have comprehended a special state of cultivation, that is, martial intent, just like my Ashura, and Lin Ming's martial arts heart is even better than mine. It's not surprising that the martial intent he comprehended is stronger than my Ashura. Tuoku's face changed, and he took a breath of cool air. Is it stronger than my brother Shura? Ling Xian's talent is only the lower 4th grade. In the 7 Zuanwu mansion, there are many people with better talents than Ling Xian, and some of them are amazingly talented, such as Tuoku, whose talent is just one step away from the 5th grade, and Zhang Guanyu has a real 5th grade talent. However, both Tuoku and Zhang Guanyu were firmly suppressed by Ling Xian. Many people, including Lin Ming, thought that Ling Xian had had a strange encounter and had eaten natural treasures. In fact, this is not the case. He relied on his Shura. Shura is a state of cultivation. During cultivation, warriors sometimes enter some wonderful states, that is, the artistic conception of martial arts. The most famous of them is Epiphany, which is widely recorded in major classics. According to legend, 3,000 years ago, there was a great man who sat in meditation under a bodhi tree for 7 days and 7 nights, and had a great enlightenment. He broke through several martial arts shackles, and finally cultivated an immortal golden body, and broke through the void with martial arts. The records in the classics are illusory legends, and no one knows whether they are true or not. However, in reality, some warriors can enter some strange states during cultivation. Although this state is not as exaggerated as Epiphany, it can greatly speed up the cultivation speed of warriors. People with this ability often have a superior martial arts heart. These people often comprehend different states because of their martial arts heart and the characteristics of their soul. These states can only be understood, but not expressed in words. Many people with amazing talents, such as Qin Xingsun, have never comprehended their own strange states. And Lin Ming, at the Cold Pond Waterfall, once accidentally entered a state of ethereal and selfless cultivation. The true essence spontaneously operated according to the instinctive route. The operation route was perfect and the speed was much faster than when Lin Ming drove it independently. In this state of cultivation, Lin Ming completed the first level of Chaos True Essence Art. Of course, it was said to be an accident, but it was also because of Lin Ming's strong martial arts heart. However, not every warrior with an excellent martial arts heart will comprehend martial intention. Before this, the only person in the 7 Zuanwu mansion who possessed the martial intention was Ling Senator. His martial intention was Shura. Once he entered Shura, Ling Xian's consciousness would come to the Shura battlefield, experiencing endless life and death battles. He might die in the battles thousands of times, and be reborn thousands of times. The most terrifying thing was that the combat skills that Ling Xian had practiced in the Shura battlefield and the life and death instincts he had comprehended would all be integrated into his soul. The benefits that a warrior would get from the killing on the verge of life and death at all times can be imagined, and that would definitely be rapid progress. However, no warrior could do this all the time. In this case, no one could guarantee that he would be alive the next moment. Therefore, Ling Sen possessed a substantial murderous aura, and both his combat talent and combat instincts far exceeded those of the same level warriors. In Qian'an country, Ling Sen was a well-deserved invincible warrior of the same level, and even his entire combat power was close to that of a warrior in the condensed vein stage. Of course, the materialized murderous aura has both advantages and disadvantages. Although it has brought Ling Sen powerful combat power, it has also shattered Ling Sen's emotions, gradually turning him into a cold-blooded fighting machine. Therefore, when Ling Sen passed the illusion of the heart of martial arts, he broke through the lust level in a blink of an eye, but it took Ling Sen more than half an incense stick of time to break the inner demon level. This is because he has too much murderous intent in his heart. It is precisely because of Ling Sen's Ashura martial will that Tuoku was so surprised when Ling Sen said that Lin Ming's cultivation state might surpass his Ashura. It can't be that exaggerated. Even for people with superior martial arts heart, only a very few can comprehend the martial intent. Lin Ming is only 15 years old. How is it possible that he can comprehend a cultivation state that is more powerful than his elder brother so early? Ling Sen said, "This is the only explanation. Lin Ming's martial arts heart is stronger than mine, so it is possible that he can comprehend a stronger martial intent than me." Lin Ming's rapid progress in the past month, I think it is due to this cultivation state. When you just comprehend a strange cultivation state, your strength will improve by leaps and bounds, and then it will gradually stabilize and slow down. I see. This Lin Ming is becoming more and more interesting. When he grows up, I must fight him. Tuoku subconsciously moved his wrist while speaking, and his knuckles crackled. Ling Sen said, "In a few days, there will be another 10,000 killings array competition. Lin Ming will definitely participate. Shall we go and take a look?" This is a good suggestion. It's too boring to practice all the time. Let's see how many places Lin Ming can get this time. The 10,000 killings array of the 7 Zuanwu mansion is held once a month. It has been 27 days since Lin Ming last participated. Lin Ming will naturally participate in this 10,000 killings array assessment. Ranking means resources. At the beginning, the waterfall cold pool alone benefited Lin Ming a lot. What amazing benefits will the other 6 formations have for cultivation? Lin Ming is looking forward to it. Especially the Thunder Valley that Hangzi did not recommend entering before. It should have some special effects. At this time, Lin Ming did not know that the ethereal state that helped him break through the first level of perfection of Chaos True Yuan Ju was the prototype of the martial intention mentioned by Ling Senator. Qian'an City, Yipin Pavilion. Yipin Pavilion is a restaurant in Qian'an City that is as famous as Demingson. At this time, in a finely decorated private room on the second floor of Yipin Pavilion, Zhu Yan was having lunch, and opposite him sat Lan Yunai in a snow-white dress. Lan Yunai ate quietly, and there was a hint of restraint and awkwardness in the private room. Zhu Yan drank a mouthful of Jiajin beast soup, put the exquisite gold-threaded small bowl on the table, picked up the snow silk napkin to wipe his mouth, and asked suddenly, "What are you thinking about?" "No, I'm not thinking about anything." Lan Yunai shook her head hurriedly. In front of Zhu Yan, she could always feel an invisible pressure. The relationship between the two of them was not like that of ordinary lovers, but more like the relationship between a concubine and an emperor. In front of the emperor, a concubine would always have a restrained and fearful mentality. Lan Yunai knew very well that, although Zhu Yan liked her, he was not inseparable from her. If he wanted, there were plenty of women to pick at his door. This was the status gap brought about by identity and strength. Zhu Yan smiled, but his eyes were cold. He knew what Lan Yunai was thinking. Today was the day when Zhang Kang and Lin Ming were going to fight. Lan Yunai couldn't have been unaware of this. She was worried that Lin Ming would be seriously injured. In fact, Zhu Yan did take care of Zhang Kang. Within the scope allowed by the rules, the mark left on Lin Ming should preferably affect his future martial arts cultivation. Of course, this was just the beginning. He would deal with Lin Ming step by step, destroy his martial arts cultivation, and make him spend his life like a useless person. Using a small porcelain spoon to gently stir the bird's nest porridge in front of him, Zhu Yan was waiting for good news from Zhang Kang, but the sound transmission note had not lit up. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Strength Training. Using a small porcelain spoon to gently stir the bird's nest porridge in front of him, Zhu Yan was waiting for good news from Zhang Kang, but the sound transmission note did not light up. When lunch was about to end, there was a knock on the door outside the private room. "Come in," Zhu Yan said. The door was pushed open, and an old servant in the Zhang training stage under Zhu Yan walked in respectfully, and then leaned over, and said something in Zhu Yan's ear. When Zhu Yan heard it, his face suddenly changed. Bang! The golden bowl in his hand was directly crushed into pieces by him. "What did you say?" Lan Yunai was startled, but the old servant was used to it. He took a half step back and said again, "Master, Zhang Kang was defeated by Lin Ming in 3 moves, severely injured and vomiting blood, and has been in a coma until now." Zhu Yan was shocked and angry at this unexpected result, while Lan Yunai was completely stunned. Lin Ming actually won, and he defeated Zhang Kang in 3 moves, making him vomit blood and faint? How could this happen? She was originally worried that Zhang Kang would use heavy hands, but she didn't expect the result to be so bizarre. Zhu Yan's face was terribly gloomy. He thought he had already thought highly of Lin Ming, but he didn't expect that Lin Ming had defeated Zhang Kang, who was ranked just over 100, after only 1 month in the Wufu. If he was given some more time, would he surpass him? Before this, Zhu Yan only thought that Lin Ming was a prey for him to amuse himself. He was not as talented as himself, not as strong as himself, and not as well born as himself. He had achieved his current success only by eating some natural treasures through a possible adventure. He never thought that Lin Ming had the possibility of threatening him. He even disdained to take action against Lin Ming himself, thinking of destroying him step by step. But now, he felt a sense of crisis. Lin Ming's growth was too fast. It was unbelievable. 4 months ago, he was just a low-level warrior who was worried about the healing medicine at the first level of physical training, but the next time they met, he became the first in the freshman assessment. This did not attract Zhu Yan's attention, but he did not expect that after another month, he would actually defeat Zhang Kang. There is definitely something wrong with this Lin Ming. His talent cannot be wrong. It is undoubtedly a 3rd grade middle-level talent. What kind of natural treasures did he eat to be able to improve so quickly in a short period of time? Or, could it be that he relied on his martial arts heart to comprehend a special realm of cultivation? If it is the former, there is nothing to be afraid of. If it is the latter. Thinking of this, Zhu Yan subconsciously clenched his fists, and his knuckles cracked. He had a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart. If this is true, this Lin Ming may become his lifelong enemy. I have to kill him before he grows up. But if he stays in the 7th profound martial palace, even if I use my aunt's power, I can't move him at all. What should I do? Behind the 7th profound martial palace, a bright moon hangs in the sky, surrounded by stars. The night of late autumn, with its unique clear deep blue, gives people a feeling of clarity and loftiness. Under the night sky, Lin Ming stood on a cold rock, holding the gun in one hand, with his forearm parallel to the gun shaft, his elbow pressing the gun tail, and the long gun stretched out horizontally. This was the starting position of the basic gun technique, iron bridge blocking the river. However, at this time, the gun shaft was not straight, but bent in a slight arc, trembling slightly. Lin Ming hung a huge stone weighing 100 jin on the tip of the gun, and it was this stone that made the long gun slightly bent. Although this huge stone only weighed 100 jin, it increased the weight of the gun by more than 10 times when it was hung on the tip of the gun. Together with the weight of the Guanhan gun, the total weight hanging on Lin Ming's arm was more than 4,000 jin. Even though Lin Ming's cultivation had increased compared to when he first entered the 3rd level of physical training, it was extremely difficult for him to support this gravity of more than 4,000 jin for a long time. At this time, Lin Ming held the gun in his right hand and held a piece of Xinyan stone in his left hand. He closed his eyes tightly, and Xinyan flowed all over his body. The pure Xinyan contained in the Xinyan stone was constantly flowing into his body, subtly transforming Lin Ming's body. What martial artists cultivate is their bodies, not their true essence. True essence is like water, and the body is a reservoir. As martial artists continue to strengthen their bodies through practice, the capacity of their true essence will become larger and larger. Therefore, no matter how cleanly their true essence is consumed, it will not affect their cultivation. As long as they cultivate for a day or two, they will return to their peak state. Once the body is damaged, it is possible that their martial arts cultivation will drop by one level. If the body of martial artist in the strength and flesh training stage is compared to a small puddle, then the organ training stage can be compared to a pond, the tendon and bone strengthening stage to a lake, and after the meridian condensation stage, the body condenses the meridians and the true essence flows faster, which can be compared to a rolling river. If the true essence of the whole body is gathered together, it flows and circulates at any time and turns into an ocean. This is a realm of acquired and innate. Using the true essence in the true essence stone to train the body is like forcibly injecting water into a reservoir to widen the reservoir. This method of cultivation has much fewer side effects than using elixirs, but the effect is slow, and it costs a lot of money. Lin Ming used up 3 true essence stones in 2 days. As Lin Ming's cultivation level increases, the consumption of true essence stones will only get faster and faster, and the supply from the 7 profound martial palace alone will not be enough. I'm afraid that even Ling Xian, Tuoku and other top disciples in the heavenly palace do not have enough true essence stones to practice. According to the rules of the martial palace, new students entering the 7 profound martial palace will be rewarded with true essence stones based on their assessment results for the first time. In addition, they can receive true essence stones once a month. After the 150th place, 1 stone per month, 120th to 150th place, 2 stones per month, 100th to 120th place, 3 stones per month, 72nd to 100th place, 4 stones per month. At the level of Ling Xian and Tuoku, there are only a dozen stones per month. Although it is much more than ordinary disciples, it is still not enough to rely on true essence stones to practice every day. I wonder how many true essence stones a core disciple like Qin Xingxuan can get in a month. How much can a real disciple of the 7 profound valley get? Compared to the people of Xiaonan country, a large sect like the 7 profound valley is a bit like a mirage, and is out of reach. It is said that the distance between Xiaonan country and the 7 profound valley alone is 100,000 miles. Even if you ride a good horse, travel day and night, and change horses at every post station, it will take more than half a year to run this distance. And ordinary people can only travel the world on foot. A distance of 100,000 miles is enough for them to walk for a lifetime. Shaking his head, Lin Ming no longer thought about these distant things. The next 10,000 killings array assessment was coming soon. Lin Ming would naturally participate, get a good score, and strive for more resources. There were only 3 days left before the assessment. It was unrealistic to rapidly improve his strength in these 3 days, unless Lin Ming took the red gold dragon marrow pill. If it wasn't for the red gold dragon marrow pill enhanced by the inscription medicine talisman, then he would have taken it. However, after the enhancement of the inscription medicine talisman, the efficacy of the red gold dragon marrow pill was enhanced several times. Lin Ming had just taken the golden snake red gall pill, which doubled the effect. The efficacy had not yet been completely absorbed and refined. If he took the red gold dragon marrow pill again, the efficacy would be wasted at best, and his true essence would not be refined to be pure, resulting in an unstable foundation. It was obviously not worth taking such a big risk to compete for a ranking. He planned to use these few days to consolidate his strength training and continue to practice spearmanship. As for the practice of true essence tempering, he planned to wait until he had gained more time to use the 7 major training arrays before making plans. Bang! Lin Ming finally couldn't hold on any longer. The 100 Jin boulder fell heavily to the ground, smashing up a cloud of dust. Lin Ming handed the spear to his left hand, aimed at the boulder, and stabbed it. Bang! With a loud sound of metal and stone colliding, an incredible scene occurred. The boulder was not only pierced by Lin Ming's gun, but also shattered into pieces, as if gunpowder exploded in the center of the stone, blasting the stone into pieces and scattering them. This is exactly the application of lionly Rusian spearmanship. Chapter 83 Various Forces. Looking at the scattered rocks, Lin Ming exhaled lightly. The level of strength like silk recorded in the Chaos Gang Dao Sutra is much higher than the level of powder shattering fist. He can only be regarded as the entry level of strength like silk now, and has not even reached the level required by powder shattering fist. If strength like silk is fully developed, this shot will shatter the rock into powder, and when the wind blows, it will fly like dust. Now Lin Ming can only block Zhang Kang's narrow knife with his bare hands, and disperse the true energy that Zhang Kang has infused into the narrow knife. If strength like silk is further developed, Lin Ming can even take over the martial arts with his bare hands, and send out a vibration of true energy, to directly disperse the true energy condensed in the opponent's martial arts. If the true energy is dispersed, the martial arts will naturally be gone. No matter how unpredictable and gorgeous the opponent's martial arts are, as long as the difference between his cultivation and Lin Ming is not too big, they can be dispersed with one move. It can be said that one method can break all changes. This training force is like silk. It's really against the sky. Lin Ming sighed in his heart. As he practiced, he found more and more the horror of Chaos Gang Daojing. He has only reached the first level of Chaos Zenyuanju. He has such strength at the beginning of training force like silk. I don't know how powerful he will be after practicing to perfection, and involving those more spiritual Keeman Myofa. In the memory of that powerful man, the practice of Chaos Gang Daojing is perfect, opening the 8 gates of escape armor in the body, the 9 stars of the Dao Palace, the blood and ki are like a long rainbow piercing the sky, the power of Aurora is like a thunder calamity, and a punch is thrown, the moon is destroyed, and the stars sink. I'm afraid that warriors of that realm have never appeared in the history of Xiaonan continent. This time I defeated Zhang Kang, and it caused quite a stir. My strength has soared so fast in the past few months, it's really a bit high profile, but in order to maintain this unstoppable spirit, if I want to fight for the sought after resources in the 7 Zuanwu mansion, I must be high profile. It's okay to attract some people's attention. If they really want to investigate me, they will probably just find out that I have a master behind me. The gambling fight between Lin Ming and Zhang Kang was not a big deal. But this matter spread like the wind throughout the 7 Zuanwu mansion, and then spread to the intelligence network of major forces. The name Lin Ming also appeared on the conference table of the internal meeting of major forces. Lin Ming, 15 years old, a disciple of the Earth Hall of the 7 Zuanwu mansion, currently ranked 126th on the stone, weapon, gun. It's nothing great to defeat Zhang Kang, who ranks 103rd on the stone, but Lin Ming, who defeated Zhang Kang, has only been in the 7 Zuanwu mansion for a month, which is surprising. This is even more terrifying than the old disciples of the 7 Zuanwu mansion making it into the top 3. You know, even Ling Xian, Tuoku, Zhang Guanyu and others did not have this strength when they first entered the 7 Zuanwu mansion for a month. And the most surprising thing is that Lin Ming defeated Zhang Kang by relying on the solid basic spear technique. He fired a shot from beginning to end, the dragon out of the sea. Although the name of this move, the dragon out of the sea, is loud, it is actually a straight stab. The army uses this move day and night to work hard on spear techniques. Hundreds of thousands of troops fired their guns together and shouted together. The momentum was really like a dragon rushing out of the sea, so it got this name. However, hundreds of thousands of troops forming a gun formation certainly have momentum, but a single person has never heard of anyone who can use his own strength to stab out with a dragon out of the sea, but this Lin Ming did it. There are many experts who witnessed the game. Laymen watch the excitement, and experts see the doorway. Lin Ming's momentum of stabbing with a gun is surging, which is affirmed by Tuoku himself. Tuoku was a super expert who ranked 2nd all year round in the ranking stone. His words were of course very important. However, what Tuoku did not say was that compared to that shot, Lin Ming's punch and palm strike were more elusive. Even Ling Xian, whom Tuoku admired deeply, had no clue. Many people noticed that punch and palm strike, but not many people really saw the mystery. Even if they saw the mystery, they would not associate them with the bone-crushing fist, because Lin Ming's punch and palm strike were somewhat different from the description of the bone-crushing fist. And most importantly, no one would believe that Lin Ming could practice the bone-crushing fist with only a 70% incomplete jade slip. Because of these halos, Lin Ming's inconspicuous talent was weakened. The result is everything. No matter how talented Lin Ming is, it is a foregone conclusion that he achieved such an achievement at the age of 15. This has completely surpassed Ling Sen, Tuoku and others. So who can be sure that Lin Ming will not achieve greater results than Tuoku and Ling Sen in the future? Naturally, all the major forces would not let go of such talents. However, the 7th Profound Martial Palace had a rule that any family organization, even the royal family, could not enter the martial palace to recruit talents while the disciples were in school, so as not to affect the normal teaching of the martial palace and the cultivation of the disciples. As a result, some spies from major forces and big families have been lingering around the 7th Profound Martial Palace all year round, waiting for Lin Ming to leave school. Not only are they waiting for Lin Ming, they are also paying attention to the new round of the 10,000 killings array competition. They are waiting to see how high Lin Ming can go this time. Of course, they will also pay proper attention to the other new disciples of the Earth Hall who have just entered the Martial Palace. After all, nothing can be seen in the last assessment, and after the first month of cultivation, if they are geniuses, they will stand out. However, under the coverage of Lin Ming's halo, other disciples have become inconspicuous supporting roles. Even Wang Yanfeng, the champion of the Yulu City Elite competition and the first genius of the Wang family, is the same. On the 34th day after Lin Ming entered the 7th Profound Martial Palace, the second 10,000 killings array assessment arrived as scheduled. In the valley where the 10,000 killings formation was located, there were many proud sword bamboos. It seemed that due to the long-term nourishment of murderous aura, these sword bamboos grew dense and tall, and the bamboo leaves were as sharp as blades. At this time, many people had gathered in the stone square located in the sword bamboo forest. Most of these people were disciples of the Earth Hall. Only 7 or 8 of the 20 new Earth Hall freshmen who entered the Wufu last month had arrived. In order to prevent some disciples from participating in the 10,000 killings formation assessment with the mentality of not taking the exam for nothing, the 7 Zuanwu Mansion stipulated that 1 Zanyuan stone must be pledged for each assessment. If they could not advance 5 places, the Zanyuan stone would not be returned. For these new disciples who entered the Earth Hall, they could only receive 1 Zanyuan stone per month. If they failed the 10,000 killings formation assessment, the Zanyuan stone would be directly reimbursed. Therefore, some disciples who were not sure of advancing 5 places did not come to participate in the assessment. 1 Zanyuan stone was also very valuable to them. Wang Mang and Zhang Tai were not present. Last time, they relied on their deep fighting skills to get a score of 160th place. That was their limit. It was not easy to improve 5 places in a short time. Among the people present, there were not only the disciples of the 7th Profound Martial Palace who participated in the assessment, but also some people outside the 7th Profound Martial Palace. They gathered in a corner of the valley, looking at the situation of the 10,000 killing array from afar. They were intelligence personnel sent by major forces. Their job was to pass on Lin Ming's ranking changes to their masters as soon as possible. According to the regulations of the 7th Profound Martial Palace, the 10,000 killing array, the Linglan Tower, and the 7 major training grounds were all forbidden areas of the 7th Profound Martial Palace. No outsiders were allowed to enter. These intelligence personnel were able to come to the valley, which showed that their masters had a powerful hand. For example, the 4 grey-clothed men who gathered under the sword bamboo forest and waited quietly, their master was the Crown Prince. Chapter 84 The Prince's Fight. With the relationship of the Crown Prince, the 4 of them were able to enter the 7 Zuanwu Mansion and watch the ranking battle directly, which was already the limit. However, they could not break the rules of the 7 Zuanwu Mansion and contact Lin Ming privately in the martial arts mansion to win over talents. In Cheyenne country, the 7 Zuanwu Mansion is a transcendent existence, not subject to the jurisdiction of the imperial power, and even not subject to the constraints of the law. This is mainly because the 7 Zuangu, the 3rd grade sect to which the 7 Zuanwu Mansion belongs, is a behemoth. that overrides the imperial power. To put it bluntly, the 7 Zhuanggu has the power to abolish the monarch of any country within a radius of 200,000 miles. If you don't obey the order, the 7 Zhuanggu can directly send 3 or 4 innate masters. These people enter and leave the palace as if they are in an empty space, and it is easy to take the emperor's head. Looking at the entire Xianan country, the strongest Qin Zhao, Mu Yi and others are only in the middle stage of the acquired period, and such people are still rare, and many of them gather in the 7 Zhuangwu mansion. It is hard to say who they will help if they really fight. Just relying on a few masters of the acquired period in the palace against 3 or 4 innate strongmen, how can they fight? Therefore, once the emperor rebelled against the order of the 7 Zhuangwu mansion, he could wait for death, and then the 7 Zhuan envoys appointed by the 7 Zhuan Valley would establish a new emperor. If the entire royal family rebelled, the 7 Zhuan Valley could even kill the entire royal family. For such a terrifying existence beyond common sense, all nearby countries, including the Xianan kingdom, carefully worshipped the 7 Zhuan Valley as a temple, fearing that there would be any shortcomings. All kinds of rare medicines and Xinyu stone mines in the country were also handed over to the 7 Zhuan Valley, and even laborers were sent to help the 7 Zhuan Valley mine. As long as the royal family obeyed and gave up these resources, the 7 Zhuan Valley would never interfere in the country's internal affairs, and would even occasionally help the country to quell rebellion. Of course, this move was also limited. If the monarch was licentious and immoral, the court was corrupt and incompetent, and the people of the country could not survive, and rose up one after another, the 7 Zhuan Valley would abandon the court and establish a new dynasty. In a sense, the Qixuanwu mansion established by Qixuan Valley in the country, in addition to recruiting talents for Qixuan Valley, is also a monitoring and jurisdiction over the country. The main responsibility of the Wu Mansion is not the daily teaching of the Wu Mansion, but the resources and mineral mining of the country, and the continuous transportation of resources such as Xinyu and stone, spiritual medicine, and fierce beast materials back to Qixuan Valley. The Mansion Lord and the 7 Zhuan envoys have great power in Xianan country. The Mansion Lord is responsible for resources in Qixuanwu Mansion, and the 7 Zhuan envoys are responsible for supervising the imperial power. Their status is even above the emperor. It can be said that Qixuan Valley is a huge vampire that continuously absorbs the resources of many countries within a radius of 200,000 miles. However, this vampire is so powerful that no country dares to resist. In fact, for the monarch of the country, sacrificing the country's cultivation resources in exchange for the stability of the entire country is also what they are willing to do. After all, for mortals, endless wealth, beauties, and supreme power may be more attractive than Xinyu and stone. Therefore, facing the Qixuanwu Mansion, the royal family not only dares not interfere with the jurisdiction, but also has to carefully worship it. It's just that where there are people, there will be connections. After all, the 7th Zhuangwu Palace was built in Xianan country, and the royal family will be given some conveniences, such as allowing some children of royal relatives to enter the Rinzi Hall to study, and now allowing the prince's spies to enter the Wancha formation of the 7th Zhuangwu Palace to observe the ranking competition. Be alert, don't lose to those lackeys of the 10th prince. The grey-clothed man who was the leader of the four said. He was about 40 years old and had an ordinary appearance. Yes. The other 3 responded. The prince will send people to come, so the 10th prince, who is competing with the prince for the throne, will naturally send people. Those who need the assistance of strong people the most are often not big families or big chambers of commerce, but generals and princes. Generals guard the border outside, march and fight, and need strong people to kill the enemy, make achievements, and also protect themselves to avoid assassination. And the princes also need strong people to help them fight for the country and the people, and clear the enemies. So why are the people of the prince and the 10th prince absent? Before Lin Ming, the most popular people in the 7 profound martial palace were Ling Sen, Tuoku, Zhang Guanyu, and several core disciples. The core disciples of the martial palace will enter the 7 profound valley in the future, if nothing unexpected happens. After that, they may stay in the 7 profound valley, or they may be sent back to be appointed as the palace master of the 7 profound martial palace or the 7 profound envoy. If they stay in the Seven Profound Valley, it will be fine. Although their status is transcendent, they are not very related to the Xianan Kingdom. However, if they become the Palace Master of the Seven Profound Martial Palace or the Seven Profound Envoy, that would be incredible. In the Xianan Kingdom, the status of the Palace Master and the Seven Profound Envoy of the Seven Profound Martial Palace is higher than that of the Emperor. It can be said that, if a prince can win over a core disciple who will become the Palace Master or the Seven Profound Envoy in the future, his chances of inheriting the throne will increase by 50%. If he wins over a core disciple who has become the Palace Master or the Seven Profound Envoy, then his succession to the throne is already a foregone conclusion. However, except for Qin Xingsun, the remaining core disciples of the Seven Profound Martial Palace are all from ancient martial arts families. They do not even belong to the Xianan Kingdom, and there is no hope of recruiting them. Moreover, because they themselves do not belong to Xianan country, it is unlikely that they will return to Xianan country to serve as the Seven Mysterious Envoy or the Lord of the Palace in the future. Qin Xingsun will not do the same. With a 6th grade talent, she is determined to pursue the innate realm, and will most likely stay in the Seven Mysterious Valley in the future. Since there is no core disciple to win over, naturally the masters on the ranking stone of Xianxi Mansion are left. Unfortunately, Ling Sen and Tuoku are both military personnel. Both of them have served in the army, and are the talents relied on by the commander of the Southwest Frontier Army, the 8th Prince Yang Wu, so they cannot be won over. As for Zhang Guanyu, this person came from the United Chamber of Commerce. The United Chamber of Commerce has existed for a very long time. Such a behemoth can't stand for so long. Naturally there is a way to protect itself. They never participate in the fight for the throne. In the fight for the throne, success is naturally a success, but the United Chamber of Commerce is already rich enough to rival a country, and does not need such rewards. On the contrary, it is too powerful, and may even threaten the emperor. If it fails, it will be over. At the very least, the family property will be confiscated, and at the worst, the entire clan will be executed. Therefore, Zhang Guanyu will not join any force, and will only serve the United Chamber of Commerce where he is. Therefore, at this time of the throne change, Lin Ming, the rising star who suddenly emerged, is particularly dazzling. Even if Lin Ming has limited talent, and may be mediocre in the future, some princes will pay a high price to win over Lin Ming. No one can guarantee that he will not continue this miracle and eventually become a supermaster who surpasses Ling Sen and Tuoku. As for becoming a core disciple, they have never thought about it. After all, Lin Ming's qualifications are too ordinary. A quarter of an hour before the start of the 10,000 killings array test, the leader of the 4 grey-clothed men under the prince suddenly changed his expression and whispered, "Lin Ming is here. Everyone cheer up. Yes. We can only succeed in this mission, not fail. Even if we can't win over Lin Ming, we must never let him fall into the hands of the 10th prince, otherwise, we will go to see the prince with our heads held high." Yes. Chapter 85, Gathering of Experts. A few breaths after the grey-clothed leader said this, Lin Ming appeared at the corner of the bamboo forest. The grey-clothed man looked at Lin Ming with eyes like a hawk. He is really young, less than 16 years old. At first glance, his face still looks childish, but if you look closely, there is a hint of a sharp and proud aura between his eyebrows. This kind of appearance and temperament are definitely not ordinary. That is the 820 Jin Guanhang spear. I went to the Divine Weapon Hall yesterday to ask the shopkeeper who sells this spear. A 15-year-old boy actually chose this heavy and difficult weapon. This courage is commendable. If he really encounters a coup by the prince or a rebellion by the prince, Lin Ming will hold the Guanhang spear to protect his master and serve the king. This shot will sweep away dozens of names. I must win over this Lin Ming for His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. When Lin Ming arrived at the scene with the Guanhang spear on his back, he almost instantly attracted the attention of everyone present. However, among these eyes, some of them were particularly scorching, as if they wanted to see through him and imprint him in their minds. After practicing the Chaos True Yuan Ju, Lin Ming's perception was very sharp. He looked back and saw the grey-clothed man in the bamboo forest. The grey-clothed man was slightly startled. Did you sense me? He was in a remote location. Logically, with so many people looking at Lin Ming, He shouldn't have noticed him, but he did, because the gaze was obviously different. This Lin Ming seems to have a special sense of observation of others. It's incredible. Could it be that his soul power is much stronger than others? The grey-clothed man secretly noted this feature and prepared to report it to the prince. After Lin Ming arrived, he randomly chose a place to sit down. He placed the piercing rainbow spear flat on his knees and meditated to regulate his breathing. The other disciples of the Wufu still looked at him frequently. Even some disciples of the Cheyenne Sifu were slightly afraid of Lin Ming. Although Lin Ming's strength was not as good as his now, he might catch up soon in the future. The 7 Zuan Wufu stipulated that, as long as the disciples of the Earth Hall entered the top 80 of the ranking stone, they would win a chance to challenge any disciple of the Cheyenne Sifu. Once they won, they could replace them and become disciples of the Cheyenne Sifu. The losers would be eliminated. The number of disciples in Cheyenne Sifu is 72. There are personnel changes in these 72 people almost every month. It is very normal for the few people at the bottom of the ranking to receive 2 or 3 challenges a month. The disciples of Dizitang are all trying their best to squeeze into Cheyenne Sifu. After all, the treatment of Cheyenne Sifu and Dizitang is very different. In addition, there are additional rewards for entering Cheyenne Sifu for the first time, including a top-grade elixir, 15 true essence stones, and 30 hours of time to use the 7 major cultivation killing arrays. Maybe Lin Ming will make it into the top 80 this time or the next time, and then challenge one of them. So how can these people not worry? No one wants to be squeezed out of Cheyenne Sifu. This not only means losing a lot of resources, but also not very glorious. At this time, there was another commotion in the crowd. Li Yan, Wu Weidao, Zhu Yan, 3 masters ranked in the top 50 came at once. This time, the 10,000 killing array assessment is really full of masters. When people were talking about it, Lin Ming's eyes fell on Zhu Yan. With Zhu Yan, Lang Yunai was naturally indispensable. Lang Yunai stopped just after entering the stone square, hiding in a corner of the bamboo forest, obviously unwilling to meet Lin Ming and feel awkward. Lin Ming did not look at Lang Yunai. His eyes were always locked on Zhu Yan. Zhu Yan, you finally showed up. I have been in the 7 Zuanwu mansion for more than a month, and this is the first time I see you. Zhu Yan also looked at Lin Ming. Few people knew about the feud between him and Lin Ming, and the stare between the two did not attract anyone's attention, because Li Yan and Wu Weidao were also staring at Lin Ming. After all, this junior might be a strong enemy, so it was normal to pay attention to him. At this time, Zhu Yan had a blank expression, as if he didn't know Lin Ming at all. He stared at Lin Ming for a moment, and then retracted his gaze. However, at that moment, Lin Ming still felt the deep coldness and murderous intent hidden in Zhu Yan's eyes. His fight with Zhu Yan started because of Lang Yunai, but now, it has nothing to do with Lang Yunai. Lin Ming regarded Zhu Yan as an obstacle to step on and move forward on his martial arts path. Because of his repeated failures, Zhu Yan regarded Lin Ming as a thorn in his side that must be removed. Otherwise, his martial arts heart would not be complete and this thorn would always remain. If at the beginning, both sides only wanted to step on each other and never turn over, then now, they want to kill each other directly, especially Zhu Yan, who is already planning how to kill Lin Ming. Look. Beijing Gan and Mirengzi, 2 masters ranked in the top 50. There are more and more masters. This time, the 10,000 killings array competition is really full of dragons. The arrival of Beijing Gan and Mirengzi once again attracted the attention of everyone in the field. The sensation they caused was even greater than that of Lin Ming. Lin Ming only gathered his attention, but the arrival of Beijing Gan and Mirengzi made many male disciples present excited, and their fighting spirit soared. The reason is naturally because they are both beautiful women. There were not many female disciples in the 7 profound martial palaces, and there were even fewer female disciples with strong strength and good looks. There were not many girls as good as Beijing Gan and Mirengzi in the whole country. The 2 girls were collectively called the 7 Profound Pride. They could be said to have gathered thousands of favors in one. Many young masters from powerful forces and big families hoped to have a taste of their beauty, but they often returned empty-handed. As the proud daughters of heaven, they were originally very arrogant and might not be willing to marry. Even if they were willing to marry, they would look for the best among men. Status and wealth alone were far from enough. They also needed strength and good character. Zhu Yan was not waiting for enough. Even many princes wanted to marry these two girls as prince consorts, but they failed. After the two girls arrived, Beijing Guan paid a little attention to Lin Ming, and then sat on a clean grass in the bamboo forest with Mirengzi, talking about some private matters by themselves, and no longer paying attention to the attention of others. The aftermath of Beijing Guan and Mirengzi had not yet dissipated, and the crowd was in an uproar again. Ling Sen. Tuoku. Got, what day is today? Even these two are here. It was meaningless for Ling Sen and Tuoku to participate in the Wancha formation assessment. Their rankings were almost unshakable, and they were already at the top of the list, with no room for improvement. Wait, they may not be here for the assessment. Maybe they are here to watch the battle. Well, it's possible. So many masters have appeared this time, and there is also Lin Ming, a rising star, so it's normal for the two of them to pay attention. Lin Ming silently glanced at Ling Senator. This was their third meeting. When they first met, Lin Ming didn't feel the fear of Ling Senator. As his cultivation improved, he felt more and more of Ling Sen's fearful aura. Although Ling Sen's cultivation was comparable to Qin Xingxuan's, Lin Ming believed that Qin Xingxuan was not Ling Sen's opponent. This Ling Sen was a complete fighting machine, a killing beast. More and more masters gathered on the field. When the Wancha formation assessment officially began, 9 of the former 50 masters came. This was already quite a lot. In previous years, top masters would only gather in the major exams at the end of the school year. Chapter 86 Mirengzi Beijing Guan. The assessment has officially begun. Those who are interested in the assessment can now pay their true essence stones and enter the 10,000 killings formation. As soon as the senior brother in charge of the 10,000 killings formation finished speaking, Wang Yanfeng was the first to jump onto the altar. This Wang Yanfeng is really getting braver and braver after each setback. I wonder how much he can improve this time. Some people in the audience were discussing that Wang Yanfeng ranked 168th in the last assessment, but after he took the assessment, several people who ranked behind him surpassed Wang Yanfeng after taking the assessment, and finally pushed Wang Yanfeng to the 172nd position. Wang Yanfeng sat quietly on the altar of the 10,000 killings formation. He knew very well that he was just a small role today. Even in the next 1 or 2 years, this place might not become his stage. All he had to do was to take every step steadily. The assessment begins. The light enveloped, and Wang Yanfeng began to fight. These 12 people were all ranked after 120th. Near the end of the assessment, Wang Yanfeng was the third to be defeated, and finally ranked 145th. This Wang Yanfeng has made it to the top 150. It's just for now. He may be squeezed out again, but it's still pretty good to be in the top 150 in the second month. Wang Yanfeng was indeed very good, but Lin Ming's aura was so strong that he was completely ignored. In the second round, those who are interested in the test can go on stage. The deacon brother said again. 12 positions were vacated, and a purple-clothed girl flew onto the stage like the wind and stood in one of the positions. This girl was Mirengzi. Sister Jingyan, let's finish the test early. Okay. Then, Beijing Guan also appeared on the stage. There were some exclamations from the crowd. These two proud girls, one 17 years old and the other 18 years old, put aside their appearance and temperament. Their martial arts talents can also be ranked in the top 10 among the younger generation of Xianan City, and the two girls have outstanding family backgrounds. One can only sigh that God favors them. Now Mirengzi has been in the 7 Zuan Wu Mansion for 2 years and ranks 36th. Beijing Guan has been in the Wu Mansion for 3 years and ranks 26th. This result, especially Mirengzi's, is not even comparable to Zhu Yan. The assessment of beautiful women always easily attracts the attention of many people. Even the spies of those big figures have also perked up. After all, many big figures, such as the 10th prince, are interested in marrying these two girls. Of course, Qin Xingxuan is more outstanding than the two girls, but Qin Xingxuan is too far away. She is determined to pursue the innate realm. Innate masters are simply legendary figures that mortals cannot reach. Marrying Qin Xingxuan is just a dream, so Mirengzi and Beijing Guyan are becoming more and more popular. Marrying them will not only enjoy the good fortune, but also become a great help to assist your career. Who wouldn't be tempted by such a good thing? If you can take them all together, it will be the ultimate in life. Even the prince dare not think about it. The light of the 10,000 killings array enveloped the two women, and the assessment of the two women officially began. Some of the wretched men in the hall of some people stared at the two women bathed in the light. Some of them clenched their fists tightly and muttered something, as if they were more nervous than their own assessment. Seeing this scene, Lin Ming felt a little emotional. Knowing that he could not get something that had nothing to do with him, he still paid attention to it eagerly and worried about it. This was probably the sadness of a small person. A small person. Even if he entered the 7 Zuanwu mansion, if he could not stand out in the fierce competition among this group of geniuses, he would still be a small person after all. The assessment lasted for 6 incense sticks. Mirengzi on the altar snorted lightly and withdrew from the stage with a pale face. This scene alone made the men feel distressed. Looking at the distressed expressions of those men, if they could suffer for Mirengzi, they would probably be happy to do it. Mirengzi's final ranking was 28th, which was shocking. Immediately afterwards, Beijing Guyan also withdrew from the altar, and the final ranking was 22nd. These two girls are getting brighter and brighter. In another year, they will be in the top 10. The spies lit up the sound transmission notes and reported to their masters. This kind of thing was enough to attract the attention of the princes. These two girls were really top notch. Unfortunately, even if the princes were tempted, they couldn't force them. They were not afraid of their own strength and the power behind them. Although the power they belonged to was not small, they had to obey the orders of the royal family. However, these princes could not ignore the 7 Zuanwu mansion. No one, any organization, even the royal family, had the courage to force or oppress the disciples of the 7 Zuanwu mansion. That would be equivalent to despising the authority of the 7 Zuangu. The horror of the 7 Zuangu would terrify the royal family. The third round of assessment begins. Disciples who are interested in the assessment can go on stage. The deacon brother announced again. After the position was vacant, Zhu Yan glanced at Lin Ming indifferently and slowly walked up to the altar. Zhu Yan is on the stage. In terms of talent, although Zhu Yan may not be ranked in the top 10 of the younger generation of Shangxianan City, he is not too far behind. At the age of 17, he has a 4th grade upper level talent. He has been in the 7th Zuanwu mansion for 2 years and ranks 39. This result is only second to Mirengzi. Of course, Zhu Yan has put in much more effort for this result than the playful Mirengzi, so his talent is actually slightly worse. Zhu Yan's strength and talent have certainly attracted the attention of many powerful forces, but Zhu Yan is destined to be someone who will not be won over. The daughter of the head of the Zhu family, that is, Zhu Yan's aunt, married into the palace and became the Empress Rong, and she is the mother of the 10th prince who has great power today. So Zhu Yan is destined to be the 10th prince's man. According to the Xianan kingdom's succession rules, the legitimate son should be appointed instead of the illegitimate son, and the eldest son should be appointed instead of the youngest son. However, the queen had no son, so the king of Xianan kingdom appointed the 3rd prince, the eldest son of the imperial concubine, as the crown prince. However, the 3rd prince had been studying since childhood, and his martial arts talent was only 2nd grade, with limited strength, and he was kind-hearted, so he might not be able to inherit the throne steadily. The 10th prince, on the other hand, had the highest martial arts talent among all the princes, and he worked hard and had a high level of cultivation. At the age of 20, the 10th prince had led the army at the border, was brave and good at fighting, and had repeatedly made military exploits. He was named Prince Yun, given a purple gold crown, and wore a 4-clawed golden dragon robe. In Xianan country, not every prince can be crowned as a king. Even if they are crowned as a king, there are 2 levels of kings. The upper one is the prince and the lower one is the county prince. The prince is a 1-character title, such as the 10th Prince Yun. The territory they are in can be called a country, and they can even have a national treasure equivalent to the Jade Seal, while the county prince is a 2-character title, only the fiefdom. In terms of power and influence in the court and the country, the 10th Prince Yun is greater than the current prince. No one can say for sure who will hold the throne in the future. Once the 10th prince takes the throne, Zhu Yan will be the cousin of the current emperor. Although Zhu Yan's mother is only a concubine in the Zhu family, Zhu Yan can only be regarded as a concubine, and his aunt, who is the concubine, is born to the legitimate mother. The relationship between the two is somewhat distant, but Zhu Yan is outstanding in talent and strength, and will definitely be valued by the new emperor. Therefore, Zhu Yan is considered a top figure in the 7th profound martial palace and even in the entire Xianan city. However, all this is based on the premise that the 10th prince succeeds in his bid for the throne. Once the 10th prince fails in his bid for the throne, Zhu Yan will not only not become a figure, but will also be likely to be eliminated as a dissident. The test begins. After Zhu Yan entered the 10,000 killings formation, someone immediately began to light incense to count the time. One incense stick after another burned out, and it was not until the 5th incense stick was halfway burned that Zhu Yan began to feel a little weak. It was not until the 6th incense stick was lit and burned out that Zhu Yan groaned and withdrew from the 10,000 killings formation. The final ranking, 32nd. Lin Ming looked at this ranking quietly, not feeling surprised at all. Zhu Yan entered the 7th profound martial palace Xianxi mansion more than half a year ago. At that time, he only had the cultivation level of the 3rd peak of the physical training. Now that he has broken through the 4th level of the physical training, it is not surprising that his cultivation level has improved by leaps and bounds. 32. I got 126 last month. Lin Ming touched the piercing rainbow gun on his back and subconsciously licked his lips. Next, I will go on stage and see how far behind Zhu Yan I am. Chapter 87 Extreme Killing Speed. Several intelligence officers sent by the Crown Prince immediately burned the sound transmission talisman and informed the Crown Prince of Zhu Yan's intelligence. After all, Zhu Yan was one of the important figures under the 10th prince. Mu Qianxue curled her lips after seeing Zhu Yan's ranking, obviously not satisfied with this Zhu Yan following her footsteps like a sticky candy. Humph, I will definitely leave him far behind next time. Mu Qianxue said unconvinced. Then you have to work hard. Your talent is better than Zhu Yan's. You almost reached the 5th rank. Beijing Gan said with a smile. That's not it. In the entire 7 Zuanwu mansion, not counting the core disciples, only Zhang Guanyu reached the 5th rank. But Zhang Guanyu is a greasy and philandering guy. I don't like him. Hey, Sister Ching, are you paying attention to Lin Ming? Mu Qianxue found that Beijing Gan had been paying attention to Lin Ming. Well, he should be on stage soon. There's nothing to pay attention to. He has limited talent, but he's just a little bit lucky. Maybe he has eaten something to have his current strength. Beijing Gan shook his head and said, luck is also a kind of strength. Isn't it also a kind of luck to have a good talent for martial arts? Being born in a noble family is also a kind of luck. In this way, you and I are both lucky people. No one can guarantee that Lin Ming won't continue this good luck. Moreover, he was not so strong when he first entered the 7 profound martial palace. It was the red gold dragon marrow pill and the golden snake red gall pill that made his strength soar. Maybe his physique is particularly suitable for absorbing spiritual medicines. While Beijing Gan was talking, Lin Ming had already walked onto the altar. Everyone present cast their eyes over. They wanted to see if Lin Ming could create a record today and write a miracle in the 7 profound martial palace freshman assessment. The intelligence personnel also perked up. In addition to veterans in intelligence work, there were also eloquent lobbyists who were waiting for Lin Ming to leave the 7 profound martial palace and then persuaded him to work for their master with their eloquence. The light of the 10,000 killing array enveloped Lin Ming, and his whole body was bathed in it. The next moment, he came to a world of white. Just like last time, many weapons appeared around Lin Ming, including knives, swords, and guns. Spear, 8 feet long, 8 inches long purple black bullet iron spear, cloud patterned iron spear tip, total weight of 820 kilograms. Lin Ming imagined the appearance of the weapon in his mind, and the next moment, a purple black spear that was almost the same as the Guanhang spear appeared in Lin Ming's hand. Lin Ming shook it casually, and the purple black spear shook out a huge gunflower. With the power stored in the shaking of the spear shaft alone. It could easily break the rock. At this time, more than 10 phantoms jumped out in front of Lin Ming. These phantoms included warriors and ferocious beasts. Most of them were at the beginning of the second to third level of physical training, and only one was at the peak of the third level of physical training. For Lin Ming now, these opponents were not worth mentioning at all. Lin Ming planted his feet firmly in a horse stance, held the spear horizontally in his right hand, and pressed the end of the spear with his elbow, and once again made the starting posture of the iron bridge blocking the river. Roar. More than 10 phantoms rushed up together. These phantoms coordinated well. They scattered around Lin Ming in a semicircle, and pounced on Lin Ming almost at the same time. Ordinary warriors, even masters, facing such a semicircular siege, can only avoid the sharp edge first, and then rush into the chaotic army, to dodge left and right, and defeat them one by one, because unless the strength difference is huge, no one can deal with the attacks of more than 10 enemies from all directions at the same time. However, Lin Ming completely ignored such attacks. He shouted, slapped the end of the gun with his left hand, and swung the gun with his right hand. The long gun was pulled out like a dragon's tail, sweeping across thousands of troops. With a sweep, the purple-black long gun hit the first enemy, which was a level 1 beast. Because of Lin Ming's powerful strength, the head of the gun was bent like a fully drawn bow when it hit the beast. Then, with a click, the gun body suddenly straightened up, and the beast's cervical vertebra was directly shattered. The purple-black long gun continued to move, and swept across the second beast again. Click. The beast's spine was swept into 2 pieces. Then the third one. With Lin Ming's strength of more than 4,000 kilograms, combined with the 820 kilogram purple-black long gun, a sweep across thousands of troops contained the power of a surging trend. More than a dozen enemies were swept away by Lin Ming's gun. Roar. The only beast among the dozen phantoms that was as strong as the third peak of physical training suddenly accelerated at the moment when Lin Ming's spear lost some momentum and rushed straight to Lin Ming's chest like a meteor. At this time, Lin Ming's spear was outside and the middle door was wide open. He had no weapon to resist the sharp fangs of this second level beast. Seeing the fangs like swords piercing his neck, Lin Ming shouted, holding the gun in his right hand, and clenched his left hand suddenly. Bone-crushing fist. Bang. Lin Ming punched the beast's chest. With a loud bang, the huge beast weighing hundreds of pounds suddenly paused and instantly broke into pieces. Lin Ming was covered in blood. He pulled back the spear with his right hand, twisted his body, and swung the spear with both hands. The red tip of the cloud-patterned iron drew a bloody full moon. Circle kill. Puff puff puff. For a moment, it seemed that several blood bags wrapped in cowhide exploded in the air, and the remaining enemies exploded one after another. It only took 2 breaths of time for these beast warriors to pounce on Lin Ming, and for them to be killed. Lin Ming fired 2 shots and 1 punch, and the new enemy phantoms didn't even have time to be brushed out by the 10,000 killings formation. The entire illusion formation was cleared by Lin Ming. This killing speed was abnormal. It was not until 2 blinks of an eye that there was a distortion in the space and a new phantom appeared. This time, whether it was a beast or a warrior, the strength was a level higher than before. Strike first to gain the upper hand. Lin Ming didn't wait for the phantom closest to him to stand firm and rushed over like a meteor. The dragon is out to sea. The purple-black spear stabbed straight out with an unstoppable momentum. Puff. The warrior at the peak of the third level of physical training was pierced through by Lin Ming's spear. The body flew away with the spear, and Lin Ming held the spear with both hands, opening and closing it. The 8-foot 8-inch purple-black spear was like a purple-black dragon tumbling in the sea of blood, and the blood boiled wherever it passed. Only the gun can sweep away thousands of troops. So in the chaos of the army, the gun is definitely the best weapon. Of course, the premise is that you have a thick true essence and physical strength enough to support the terrifying consumption speed. Circle kill. Lin Ming swung a gun, and 3 more beasts were blown up and flew backwards. At this time, the muscles of his arms were bulging with blue veins, like twisted earthworms. The chaos true essence art in Lin Ming's body was flowing rapidly. He exhaled, and the airflow condensed in the air like a long snake. The first level of Chaos True Essence art was perfected, and with the third level of physical training of thorough True Essence training, Lin Ming was able to support such a terrifying killing speed. Chapter 88 Sweeping all the way. I wonder how long Lin Ming can hold on. Outside the 10,000 killings formation, everyone was paying attention to Lin Ming. Even the disciples of Qianxue Mansion who were ranked in the top 70 in the 10,000 killings formation with Lin Ming were ignored. At least 4 incense sticks, and even half of the 5th incense stick can be burned out. Zhang Kang can reach 3.5 at that time. Lin Ming completely defeated Zhang Kang. It is certain that he will be ranked in the top 100, and even 90 or 80 may not be impossible. It is absolutely no problem to enter the top 100, but it is not so easy to enter before the 80th place. There is already a ranking close to the disciples of Qianxue Mansion, and the competition is very fierce. The top 80 can get the qualification to challenge the disciples of Qianxue Mansion, and if you win, you can enter Qianxue Mansion. That's right. If you can enter Qianxue Mansion in more than a month after arriving at Qianxue Mansion, you are really not a human being. A long time ago, there were people in Qianxue Mansion who ranked more than 90 in the second round of assessment, but those people were 18 or 19 years old. Due to various reasons, they were not able to enter Qianxue Mansion in time. As far as I know, there are not many people who have the ability to rank in the top 100 in the second round of assessment at the age of 15 in the past 100 years. Well, in the past 10 years, only Qin Xingxuan has this ability, but she directly became a core disciple. She has no intersection with us at all. 1 stick of incense burned out, 2 sticks of incense burned out, 3 sticks of incense burned out, until the 4th stick of incense was lit. Lin Ming's face in the 10,000 killings formation flushed. Well, that's not right, Sister Jingyan. Why do I think Lin Ming can't hold on any longer? It's only the 4th stick of incense that has just been lit. If he continues like this, it will be a bit difficult for him to get into the top 100. Mirengzi had excellent eyesight. She could see Lin Ming's situation clearly through the light of the formation. Lin Ming's breath was slightly disordered now, which was a manifestation of excessive consumption of true essence. Beijing Gan frowned. She originally thought that Lin Ming might even be able to hold on until the 5th stick of incense burned out, but now it seemed a bit slim. It was good enough for him to hold on until the 4th stick of incense. Lin Ming does seem to be a little exhausted. Could it be that he was too careless in the 10,000 killings formation and got injured accidentally at the beginning? If he got injured at the beginning, each battle would consume more energy, and the blood loss from the wound would be extremely fatal. Once this happened, the assessment would fail, and the ranking would drop instead of rise, resulting in a further decrease in the resources that could be mobilized next month. Therefore, warriors were cautious when passing the 10,000 killings formation, and tried to avoid mistakes. Being injured is also a sign of lack of strength. Sister, I've said it before, Lin Ming is not as powerful as you think. Mirengzi curled her lips, and said somewhat unconvinced. She grew up with the title of a genius prodigy, and now she was completely outshined by a boy who was 2 years younger than her. Naturally, she was a little unconvinced. Oh, not that great? Well, even if Lin Ming is not strong enough and can only hold out for 4 incense sticks, then my dear sister, how many incense sticks can you hold out for when you just entered the 7th profound martial mansion for a month? Mirengzi was speechless. When she first entered the 7th profound martial mansion, she didn't even make it into the top 150 in the first assessment, and only ranked over 140 in the second assessment, which was far worse than Lin Ming. She simply dragged her pointed chin with one hand, raised her mouth to watch the assessment, and pretended not to hear it. In fact, the time when the disciples of the Wu Mansion make the greatest progress on the ranking stone is at the end of each semester. At this time, a large number of students will graduate. These annoying masters will leave, and the ranking will naturally be vacant, and the freshman will always be ranked behind you. So even if the students of the 7th profound martial mansion are weak, as he stays in the Wu Mansion for a longer time, his ranking will be higher. Seeing Mirengzi playing rogue, Beijing Gan smiled and didn't care. Yes, even if Lin Ming can only hold out for 4 incense sticks and barely make it into the top 100, this result is enough to be proud of. In the past 100 years of the 7 Zuanwu Palace, the number of such monsters can be counted on one hand. Brother, it seems that Lin Ming can't hold on any longer. Tuoku touched his chin and said to Ling Senator, well, even if it's 4 pillars of incense, his performance will be amazing. Of course, he uses a gun, and it's a heavy gun. Guns can be used in many ways. This Lin Ming's gun should be a big and open style of fighting. This style of fighting is so fierce in group battles, but ordinary people don't dare to use it because it consumes very quickly, so no matter how powerful a general is, it is impossible to kill 10,000 people alone. In the 10,000 killings formation, even if someone uses a gun, they don't dare to fight like this, but will try to delay time and recover physical strength, because the enemies are endless and getting stronger and stronger. Tuoku used a stick, which is similar to a spear, so he naturally knew the advantages of this weapon. Wait and see how long Lin Ming can hold on. In the 10,000 killings formation, Lin Ming used his spear to knock away a sword-wielding warrior and wipe the blood off his face. It seems that I have killed too many people. Lin Ming looked at the black armored knight in front of him who was holding a halberd and riding a fully armed warhorse, and his face showed a solemn expression. A warrior in the bone forging realm. Lin Ming swept all the way with the purple black spear in his hand. It was already extremely efficient for others to kill one enemy with one move, but Lin Ming killed a large number of enemies with one move. So just after 3 incense sticks were lit, a warrior in the 5th level of the bone forging realm of the body training realm appeared. He was 2 levels higher than Lin Ming. Lin Ming had just fought with this black armored knight in the bone forging realm several times. The opponent was originally powerful, and with a fully armed horse, the collision force was amazing. Lin Ming did not gain any advantage. Generally, the top talents of the 7 profound martial palaces can fight across one level without any problem. For example, Zhang Kang, who was at the peak of the 3rd level, could defeat an enemy at the peak of the 4th level after leaving the 7 profound martial palaces. Lin Ming, among the top talents of the 7 Zuanwu palaces, was still able to fight against Zhang Kang. He defeated Zhang Kang with his strength of the first 3 levels of physical training, but when he met the black armored knight who had just entered the bone forging realm, he could only barely fight to a draw. If there were no other enemies around, Lin Ming could still take advantage of the opponent's weakness of being an illusion, having a dull mind and rigid attack methods to kill him. But now, the endless attacks of the enemies around him put Lin Ming in danger. But Lin Ming and the black armored knight fought hard. Although the purple black bullet iron had super strong cushioning properties, Lin Ming was still shocked to the point of numbness. The black armored knight's horsehoof was raised high by Lin Ming's fight, but Lin Ming was bounced back, and his body turned several times in the air. Raw. A level 2 beast took advantage of the moment when Lin Ming lost his balance in the air and rushed up, and its 2 front claws cut into Lin Ming's chest like a knife. Lin Ming only heard the whirring of the wind in his ears. He grabbed the purple black spear and used the steady inertia of the 820 Jin heavy spear to stabilize his body in the air. He took a deep breath, and the airflow rushed into Lin Ming's nasal cavity like a long snake. He aimed at the beast that was rushing towards him and punched it hard. Bone-shattering punch. Puff. The beast's body suddenly paused, and a big hole suddenly exploded on its back. Blood, flesh and internal organs rushed out of the big hole like a gusher. One punch will kill. Lin Ming rolled into the beast herd. Before his blood and ki could be adjusted, the surrounding beast warriors had already rushed to kill him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89 The Last Shot. Lin Ming rolled into the herd of beasts. Before he could adjust his ki and blood, the beast warriors around him had already rushed over to kill him. With a sweep of the gun, the purple crow spear was bent into a full moon. The beast weighing 700 or 800 kilograms was swept away by Lin Ming in half. A warrior's sternum collapsed, and his internal organs burst on the spot. However, there were too many and too strong beasts attacking, and there were also warriors who appeared out of nowhere and attacked tricky. After Lin Ming swung the gun, he had 2 more wounds on his body. One of the swords pierced his lower abdomen and injured his internal organs. If he had not reached the state of training organs and let his true essence completely penetrate into his internal organs in the cold pool, this sword would have made him lose most of his combat power. Too much pressure. Lin Ming was covered in blood, both from the enemy and himself. The purple crow spear was completely stained red with blood, but because the gun shaft had been specially anti-slip treated, it still felt smooth when gripped. Just now, after Lin Ming killed 4 or 5 enemies, 4 or 5 stronger enemies appeared, one of which was a fierce beast with the strength equivalent to that of the bone refining realm. This Lin Ming is getting worse and worse. I think he can't hold on for the 4th incense stick. A disciple said from the audience. The 4th incense stick had just burned out, but Lin Ming on the stage just groaned, obviously injured. It was already very difficult to hold on among a group of enemies, and once injured, the combat effectiveness decreased, and then death was not far away. It's worse than expected, but I should be able to enter the top 100. Well, after all, he is a freshman. 4 incense sticks, the limit. People were talking about it, and their words were no longer as expectant and shocked as before. Many times, when a person repeatedly creates miracles, it is natural for him to create miracles again next time. On the contrary, if he fails to create miracles, even if his current achievements are still far beyond ordinary people, he still won't get cheers, and may even be booed. For example, if Ling Xian's myth of being the first was broken and his ranking dropped by several places, then even if he was still one of the few masters in the 7 Zuanwu palaces, his aura would be gone, and someone would say behind his back, this Ling Xian is no longer good. The incense burned slowly, and when the weak spark of the 4th incense stick was unwillingly swallowed by the incense ash, the 5th incense stick began to light. 4 incense sticks. At this time in the 10,000 killings formation, Lin Ming had been injured in 12 places, 3 of which injured his internal organs. If Lin Ming had not reached the state of exhaling like a snake, and at the same time, he had a perfect chaos true essence art to support him, he would have lost his combat effectiveness long ago. Die. Lin Ming shot off a warrior's thigh with a gun, and then dived and punched the warrior in the chest. In order to save his true energy, he did not use the bone-shattering fist, but the force of more than 4,000 kilograms hitting the warrior's heart still stopped his heartbeat, and killed him on the spot. At this moment, with a fierce roar, a huge shadow appeared in the space of the 10,000 killings formation. Lin Ming turned around, and saw a bear-shaped monster appear 10 feet behind him. The monster was more than 10 feet tall, and covered with thick black fur. Judging from its weight, it must have weighed several thousand pounds. Level 3 beast. Lin Ming took a breath of cold air. Although the black polar bear in front of him was only a weaker type among the level 3 beasts, it was a level 3 beast after all, at least equivalent to a warrior, who had reached the bone forging stage. With Lin Ming's current strength, he could not do anything about this kind of beast. Moreover, the appearance of this black polar bear also meant that the warriors and beasts that appeared in the future would mainly be in the bone forging stage. Lin Ming knew that he didn't have much time left. He turned around fiercely, aimed at the black armored knight who had fought with him for several rounds, and rushed over with his gun raised. True energy permeated his whole body, and Lin Ming ran at full speed like a galloping horse. During the running process, the breathing rhythm of the small units in his body spontaneously adjusted to the same rhythm, and the true energy in Lin Ming's body vibrated rapidly. Because of the violent true energy vibration, Lin Ming's muscles swelled up, and his arm holding the gun became several points thicker, and the blue veins jumped. With a swish sound of tearing silk, Lin Ming's already tattered clothes were completely broken, and Lin Ming's body rushed out like a meteor. The black armored knight raised his halberd high, and chopped it down. Facing the cold halberd, Lin Ming did not dodge. At the moment, when the halberd chopped down, his true energy permeated his feet. The strong true energy vibration made the ground that Lin Ming stepped on shatter every time he took a step, and the earth and rocks flew everywhere. His speed, which had already reached the extreme, soared again. His whole body, together with the long spear, shot towards the heavily armored knight like a black arrow. Puff! Lin Ming stabbed out the long spear in his hand before the black armored knight chopped down. The dragon is out of the sea. The spear pierced the neck of the warhorse from bottom to top, and then broke through the armor on the horse's body, and pierced directly into the chest of the black armored knight. Under the strong vibration, the armor of the black armored knight was shattered like paper, and the cloud-patterned iron spear was sent into the chest and abdomen of the black armored knight. The vibration force exploded, and the black armored knight's body shook violently, bleeding from all 7 orifices, and died on the spot. His internal organs had been shaken into a ball of paste by the vibration of the true essence. However, in the process of killing this black armored knight, Lin Ming had already used up all the remaining true essence in his body in one breath, and even his muscles were severely damaged, because they could not withstand such a true essence vibration, and it was difficult to exert force. Facing the beasts rushing over, his battle had ended here. On the altar of the 10,000 killings formation, Lin Ming groaned and retreated with a pale face. There were 3 people on the altar taking the test. The strength of the participants in this 10,000 killings formation test was obviously a level higher than last month. 4 incense sticks are a little more better than I thought. How many places can there be? Mirengzi said with a smile, and turned his eyes to the ranking stone. Gu Yu, who ranked 89th, has not finished yet on the altar. This Lin Ming was eliminated before Gu Yu, and his score should be more than 90th. Well, this score is about right. People talked about it, and began to pay attention to the ranking changes on the ranking stone. Zhu Yang stood among these people, turning a deaf ear to their discussions, just staring at the ranking stone, his face gloomy as water. The spies sent by the princes also focused their attention on the ranking stone. They came here today for this purpose. Some people even prepared sound transmission notes. When most people focused their attention on the 90th to 100th place, the 6th row of the ranking stone had a slight fluctuation. This inconspicuous change was destined to be recorded in the history of the 7 Xuanwu prefectures and even the Xianan kingdom. Chapter 90, Incredible Achievements. 62. Oh my god. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Ming's 2 slightly simple characters, inserted in a group of names, are so eye-catching. 62. In just the second assessment, he made it into the top 72. And there are a total of 72 people in Qianxue Mansion, which means that Lin Ming's strength is enough to reach Qianxue Mansion. 15 years old, just over a month after entering the 7th Xuanwu Mansion, the cultivation level is the initial stage of the 3rd level of physical training, and he entered Qianxue Mansion! Exclamation mark. In the past 100 years, there have been 3 or 4 warriors who entered the top 100 in the second round of assessment, but it has never happened to enter Qianxue Mansion in the second round of assessment. All the students who participated in the assessment, including the spies of the princes, stared at the ranking stone with wide eyes. Mirengzi covered her mouth in disbelief, and those spies actually forgot to light the sound transmission talisman in their hands at the first time. It's against the sky. This is definitely a monster that surpasses Ling Sen, Tuoku, and Zhangguanyu. No, impossible. He was ejected after just over 4 incense sticks. Logically, he should be in the top 100. How could he be ranked so high? A warrior ranked in the 70s in Qianxue Mansion muttered to himself. Lin Ming's promotion meant that one of them was likely to be squeezed out of Qianxue Mansion. Is it possible that the ranking stone of the 10,000 killings formation was wrong? How is that possible? That is an illusion formation carved by an innate master. Even if it was carved by an innate master, it could be wrong. Some people were not convinced. No one wanted to be squeezed out of Qianxue Mansion. Shut up. The ranking stone can't be wrong. Lin Ming made it into the top 72 in 4 incense sticks, because his killing speed in the 10,000 killings formation was much faster than that of warriors of the same level. The one who spoke was the deacon in charge of the 10,000 killings formation. This person also graduated from the 7th profound martial mansion, and has now broken through the condensed vein stage. In the 7th profound martial mansion, he is both a deacon and a teacher. Much faster than warriors of the same level? Hearing the judgment of the deacon, the people around gasped. In the 10,000 killings formation, the enemies attacked in waves, one after another, each wave stronger than the other. The examinees were so exhausted that they could not breathe. They wished they could slow down and kill as few enemies as possible to recover their true essence. Therefore, the speed of killing enemies in the 10,000 killings formation was similar for the examinees. That's why people judged the possible ranking based on the length of time the warriors entered the 10,000 killings formation. Killing like Lin Ming undoubtedly consumed more physical strength and killed faster. What a pervert. At this time, Mirengzi still covered her mouth and was speechless for a long time before she said to Bei Jingyan, "Sister Jingyan, you are right. This Lin Ming is just an animal. I don't know what kind of grass he grew up on." She knew the significance of this ranking very well. Before the 62nd place in the ranking stone, there were about 11 or 12 students who would graduate by the end of this year. In other words, even if Lin Ming stood still, he could enter the top 50 by the end of the year, and the top 50 was another leap. Besides, how could Lin Ming stand still? Maybe, by the end of the year, he will be among the top 30 and become his competitor. Bei Jingyan burst into laughter. "Little girl, be more polite. You are jealous of him, right?" "Humph, how could I be jealous of him? It seems that I have to be more serious in the future, so that I won't be surpassed by him." Mirengzi raised her little fist. She was indeed a little playful before. In the assessment of the heart of martial arts, Mirengzi's results were a mess, and she barely passed the test. "Damn, what are you daydreaming about? Hurry up and report to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." Damn it, this result blinded my dog eyes. The grey-clothed man who led His Royal Highness's men gave a slap to the men, who were staring at the ranking stone in a daze. Yes, report it right away." The younger brother who was hit on the head hurriedly said a message, and then lit the sound transmission talisman in his hand. At the same time, the 10th prince's men also burned the sound transmission talisman. The leader among them looked at the 4 prince's men in the bamboo forest with a disdainful smile on his face. "A bunch of idiots, still struggling in vain. This time, our prince will definitely win." What kind of rubbish can the prince come up with? For this Lin Ming, the prince specially prepared a set of human-level secrets and a top-grade treasure. At this time, the Prince Yanglin was in the East Palace, playing chess with the prince's tutor Mr. Mu Yi. "Haha, what are you thinking, Your Highness? This move is wrong." Mu Yi smiled and placed a piece. As soon as this piece was placed, the piece in the lower left corner of Yanglin's chessboard became a dead piece, and he lost a lot of ground. Yanglin smiled and shook his head. "Teacher, I have never won against you in chess. It doesn't matter if I lose early or late." Haha, that's not the way to say it. Even if you are not as strong as others, you can't lose your backbone and fighting spirit. The chess field is like a battlefield. If you are not as skilled as others and die in battle, you are still a hero. But if you surrender and are captured and killed, that is a shame. Teacher taught you that. To Mu Yi, Yanglin did not have the slightest airs of a prince. In Qiannan Kingdom, a mid-stage postnatal master would be treated with respect even by the monarch. Moreover, the government and the opposition were in turmoil, and Mu Yi was Yanglin's most important support. "Tell me, what's on your mind?" Mu Yi put down the chess piece in his hand. Yanglin said, "Today I went to see my father, and his health seems to be worse than before." Mu Yi was silent. He knew what Yanglin was worried about. The throne was replaced. The old emperor might not have much deterrence due to health reasons. At this time, it depends on the ability of each prince. The 10th prince, Prince Yun, is ambitious and may not be willing to be a prince in peace. Yanglin is much worse than Prince Yun in terms of personal strength and the power he controls. Once he fights, he may not win. And if you fail in the fight for the throne, the end can be imagined. Yanglin is now the prince, and he has to fight, even if he doesn't want to, otherwise he will lose his life. So these days, Yanglin has been worried, and he dare not show it in front of his subordinates. Mu Yi said, "Your Highness, I just said that the chess field is like a battlefield. You must not lose your backbone and fighting spirit. If your Highness lacks confidence, your ministers will also be uneasy. A new emperor appoints new ministers. These people are determined to follow your Highness, which means they are handing over the lives of their families. If your Highness loses, with Prince Yun's ruthlessness, he may not carry out a major purge of the court and the country." At that time, Mu Yi did not continue. Since ancient times, the succession of the throne has often been accompanied by killing and blood. At this time, family affection and friendship have become a joke. Yanglin sighed. "Of course I know. So in the past few years, I have been forcing myself to be strong. Not to mention these people who follow me. Even the lives of my mother and sister are connected with me. My mother is nearly 50 years old and my sister is only 28 years old. If I lose, I don't know how tragic their fate will be. Chapter 91 Prince Yun. Mu Yi also shook his head. To be fair, Yang Lin was too kind and not suitable to be a monarch. Although there have been many stories of benevolent monarchs ruling the world since ancient times, these benevolent monarchs may not be really kind. They just show their benevolence when they should, such as to loyal ministers and the people. They will never be soft-hearted when they should kill people. People with great kindness are not suitable to be a ruler. Yang Lin said again, there is a new genius who will participate in the assessment of the 7 Zuanwu Mansion ranking competition this time. I sent Zishan and others to try to win over this person, but I don't have much hope. 10th brother has been on the battlefield for many years. He has conquered many noble families in neighboring countries and occupied a lot of wealth, jewelry, beauties, and martial arts secrets. Especially the martial arts secrets are too attractive to a warrior. I think I can't come up with anything comparable to 10th brother anyway. The world is bustling, all for profit, and the world is bustling, all for profit. If the ruler wants to win over talents, he must pay corresponding treatment, so the wealth of a prince is also one of the important criteria for measuring his strength. Otherwise, if you can't give out money, who will work for you? Oh, genius? Who? Mu Yi's heart moved, and he had a vague guess. Lin Ming, 15 years old. This time he will probably be in the top 100 of the 7 Zuanwu Mansion rankings. Lin Ming? Mu Yi smiled. Your Highness, don't worry, this Lin Ming will never be lured away by the 10th prince. Oh, what do you mean? This little brother Lin and I are friends regardless of age, and his background is mysterious, and there is a powerful master behind him. He came to the 7 Zuanwu Mansion just to practice his heart. Even if Prince Yun takes out a good technique, it may not be in Lin Ming's eyes. And, Your Highness, do you remember that I asked you to help save a friend a month ago? He was framed on the day of the beginning of autumn, which was the day of the 7 Zuanwu Mansion entrance examination, and was almost imprisoned. What? Teacher, is the person you asked me to help Lin Ming? Yang Lin was also quick-witted and immediately understood what Mu Yi wanted to say. Haha, yes, he is Lin Ming. Although I don't have much contact with brother Lin, I can feel that he is a man of affection and righteousness. Although the help of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince was not a big deal, Lin Ming should remember this favor. Although His Royal Highness may not be able to win him over, at least he will not join Prince Yun's army and oppose His Royal Highness. Really? This is really a pleasant surprise. The Crown Prince was delighted. Although the current emperor's health is getting worse and worse, with the conditioning of various rare medicines and martial arts doctors, it is not a problem to live for 5 or 6 years or even 7 or 8 years. Such a long time is enough for a genius to grow up. Although there are not a few warriors in the condensation vein stage in Cheyenne country, most of them gather in the 7 Zuanwu mansions, and the rest who are conferred titles by the court are basically in the military. There are very few who can be used by the princes. After all, few people will wade into the muddy water of the succession of the throne. Once you bet on the wrong treasure, you will be doomed. Yang Lin, not counting Mu Yi, only has one warrior in the condensation vein stage, who is already over 50 years old. On the other hand, in the 7 profound martial palaces, Ling Sien alone has reached the peak of the 4th level of physical training, and his true combat power is close to the condensation vein stage. If he is given a few more years, it will be great. And this Lin Ming, it is possible that he will become the next Ling Sien. Moreover, Lin Ming is also known as a genius that the 7 profound martial palaces only see once in decades. If he joins any side, it will make that side more powerful. So this competition for Lin Ming, seemingly a trivial matter, is actually of great significance. At this moment, a ball of red flame lit up in front of Yang Lin. The red gold expedited sound transmission note. Your Highness, Lin Ming's results are out, ranking 62nd. What? Yang Lin stood up on the spot. 62nd. As the Crown Prince, he certainly knew the meaning of getting 62nd place in the second assessment. Even Ling Sien could never match it. Ling Sien was already a pervert. With the 4th level of physical training, he had a strength close to the condensation of vein stage. If Lin Ming was even more perverted, what would happen? He took out a sound transmission talisman and burned it on the spot. Although he knew that Zishan and others could not make a mistake, he still wanted to confirm it. What's wrong? The sound transmission talisman directly transmits the sound into the recipient's mind, and Mu Yi cannot hear it. Yang Lin took a deep breath and said, "Teacher, Lin Ming's score is ranked 62nd. What? 62nd? Mu Yi was also slightly stunned for a moment, and then relieved. That's right, since he is the disciple chosen by the great man, how could he be an ordinary person? Ling Sen, Tuoku and others are first-class geniuses in Xianan country, but if compared with the direct disciples of the mysterious masters of the big sects, they are far behind. Lin Ming ranked 62nd in the first assessment, which is not an exaggeration. Since Mu Yi believed that there was a supermaster behind Lin Ming, he had a surprisingly good acceptance of anything that happened to Lin Ming. Even if Lin Ming defeated Ling Sen in a few months, Mu Yi would be shocked at most, and then he would think that this was normal. At the same time that Yang Lin received the sound transmission note, the 10th prince also received the sound transmission note from his subordinates. Originally, the 10th prince did not care too much about Lin Ming's strength. He had many more masters than the crown prince. What he cared about was Lin Ming's influence. Lin Ming caused quite a stir in the martial arts circle of Xianan City. He was a genius that the 7 Zuanwu mansion had only seen once in decades. If such a person joined his command, it would undoubtedly boost the morale of his subordinates. Even more people who were waiting and watching would join his command because of this. That's why he would pay a great price to win him over. But now, after receiving the sound transmission note from his subordinates, the 10th prince's face suddenly changed. After entering the 7 Zuanwu mansion for a month, the second assessment, the cultivation level just entered the third level of physical training. The ranking stone score, 62nd! Exclamation mark. This ranking completely killed Ling Sen. The 7 Zuanwu mansion, a record that has never been seen in 100 years. Entering the heavenly palace of the 7 Zuanwu mansions with the cultivation of the third peak of the physical training is already a genius among geniuses, and even if he enters, he will be ranked at the bottom of the 70th place, but this Lin Ming is ranked 62nd, and his cultivation is half a level lower. This is simply a monster. Lin Ming, it is very likely to become a master who surpasses Ling Sen. Putting aside the huge influence that his achievement brings among warriors, his fighting power alone makes the 10th prince shocked. Don't forget, he is only 15 years old now, and his cultivation has just entered the third level of physical training, and there is a lot of room for improvement. Haha, God is helping me. A rare genius from the 7 Zuanwu mansion joins my army. The warriors in Xianan City will be shaken by the news. Come on, Your Highness, what are your orders? Immediately prepare 50,000 taels of gold, 2 boxes of jewelry, 12 beautiful girls under the age of 16, and 100 slaves, waiting at Chunyuan Villa. In addition, prepare the deed to the 500 acres of fertile land in Chunyuan Villa. The subordinate was secretly shocked when he heard this. Such a reward is incredible. Who is this for? Sending a manor and sacrificing 50,000 gold and 2 boxes of jewelry. It's nothing to win over a general. The 10th prince was confident. In fact, these rewards were secondary. What made him most confident was the set of human-level middle-grade secret manuals, which he got after robbing a family. With this thing, he won over many warriors. Yang Lin, Yang Lin, you are going to lose to me again. What you can produce is not even 1/10 of what I have. I wonder how you can compete with me. When you are completely suppressed by me, I will take action and catch you off guard without waiting for that old guy to die. This throne is destined to be mine. The 10th prince subconsciously grabbed his palms, as if he wanted to control everything in his hands. Chapter 92 Where the Gun Points. The stone square of the 10,000 killings formation. Zhu Yan narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Ming. Without saying a word, his face had returned to normal, but there was a cold chill in his narrowed eyes. Lin Ming looked at Zhu Yan indifferently. Sooner or later, they would meet in battle, but Zhu Yan certainly did not expect that this day would come so soon. Lan Yunyu stood in the corner of the bamboo forest, looking at the ranking stone in a daze, watching the confrontation between Lin Ming and Zhu Yan. She was completely confused. How could this happen? Many people had not yet recovered from their shock. At this time, the deacon in charge of the 10,000 killings formation suddenly said, "Lin Ming, congratulations on getting the 62nd place in the 10,000 killings formation. According to the rules of the Wufu, any disciple who enters the top 80 is eligible to challenge any disciple of the Heavenly Palace. If they win, they can enter the Heavenly Palace and become a member of the Heavenly Palace, while the loser will be eliminated from the Heavenly Palace and enter the Earthly Hall." The Heavenly Palace of the 7 Zuanwu Palace has a fixed number of 72 people. These 72 people are ranked according to their combat effectiveness, not the ranking of the 10,000 killings formation. Although the ranking on the ranking stone can basically reflect the individual's strength, there are still some discrepancies. Sometimes, some specific professions, such as assassins, are not good at charging in the 10,000 killing formation, but when they really kill people, they can often kill opponents who are ranked higher than themselves. Therefore, the 7th Zuanwu Palace stipulates that all disciples who enter the top 80 of the ranking stone can obtain the qualification to challenge the disciples of the Heavenly Palace. Generally speaking, this kind of challenge will pick the worst ranked person in the Heavenly Palace. Lin Ming took a look at the ranking stone. On the ranking stone, the names of the disciples of the Heavenly Palace will be slightly larger than those of the Earthly Hall, so it can be seen at a glance that the person ranked last in the Heavenly Palace is named Bei Rangrong, a 19-year-old girl, ranked 75th. There are not many girls in the Heavenly Palace. Bei Rangrong has a 4th grade lower level talent. She entered the 7th Zuanwu Palace for 4 years and barely squeezed into the Heavenly Palace last month. Now it has only been a month, and she hasn't even warmed up her position, but she is about to be squeezed out. Bei Rangrong happened to be there. She looked at Lin Ming's eyes on the ranking stone with pity. She knew that this time there was no hope. He ranked 62nd, and he had killed his way here in 4 incense sticks. Even if 2 of them were combined, they probably couldn't beat this monster. They would just fight him symbolically. If it didn't work, they would just admit defeat. They hoped that this abnormally strong guy would show mercy and not use too harsh moves. Bei Rangrong was very self-aware. She had already accepted her fate. Many people at the scene looked at Bei Rangrong. They all expected that Bei Rangrong would lose. Girls could still win sympathy, especially since Bei Rangrong was usually diligent. If the one who suffered this time was an arrogant boy, most people would probably feel happy about his misfortune. "Have you made your choice?" the deacon asked. "Yes, I have chosen," Lin Ming replied, "but I have a question. Is there any limit on the time of the challenge?" "You can decide the time of the challenge yourself, but it is best to be within 1 month, because if you fall out of the top 80 and still haven't challenged, then you will lose the qualification to challenge. That's it." "Thank you, Senior Deacon. Have you chosen?" "I need to report the name to the elder in charge of Qianxue Mansion." "Yes, I have chosen. The time is set in 1 month. As for the candidate." Lin Ming turned his head and pointed the tip of his gun at a man with narrowed eyes and said word by word, "I choose ZHU Yan." ZHU Yan? Question mark? Everyone was stunned when they heard this name, and the girl named Bei Rangrong was full of disbelief. The whole Fangxi square was unprecedentedly silent. This Lin Ming chose ZHU Yan? Question mark? Many people thought they had heard it wrong at first, but seeing that Lin Ming's gun tip was clearly pointing at ZHU Yan. Provocation. Pointing the gun tip at someone. Naked provocation. Exclamation mark. ZHU Yan ranked 32nd. This Lin Ming really doesn't stop until he says something shocking. This Lin Ming is really crazy. Mirengzi's lips twitched, and he muttered to himself, "No, I'm crazy. This Lin Ming has been crazy all the way, creating miracles all the way. If he doesn't go crazy again, I will go crazy." Beijing Gan was also amazed. This Lin Ming is so courageous. He is preparing to surpass ZHU Yan in a month. From 62nd to 32nd, you know, the higher the ranking, the more difficult it is to advance. From 162nd to 132nd is not difficult, but from 62nd to 32nd, the difficulty has increased several times. It took me a whole year to advance from 65th to 26th. This progress sounds big, but it is actually very limited. because in this year, 20 of the Wufu disciples who were ahead of Beijing Guan graduated. In other words, Beijing Guan actually only advanced by 19 places. This is interesting. Tuo smiled bitterly and said, "It's not in vain today. This Lin Ming seems to have a grudge against Zhu Yan, otherwise why would he target him so much? Well, it's true that they don't have a good relationship. I felt that Zhu Yan's murderous aura suddenly burst out, but it was hidden in an instant." Lin Ming pointed the tip of his gun at Zhu Yan, which is a provocation in itself. Ling Xian responded. Although Zhu Yan's murderous aura was restrained in an instant and was not very obvious, Ling Xian had fought on the battlefield for many years and had Shura Wuai, so he was extremely sensitive to murderous aura. Zhu Yan is a ruthless person. Although he was born in a noble family, he was still able to calm down and work hard to practice. He is very powerful and he is ambitious. He may change the situation in the government in the future. Even I have kept a few eyes on this guy. This time Lin Ming targeted Zhu Yan, and there is something to watch. Tuo licked his lips excitedly. He was under Yang Wu's command and might join the army in the future. He might not be involved in these struggles. What will be the result in a month? No one dared to say. In the past, people would say that Lin Ming was overestimating his own abilities, but now, Lin Ming has repeatedly created miracles, and no one dares to look down on him. Huh? What? Lin Ming wants to challenge Zhu Yan, and the tip of the spear is pointed directly at him. Could it be that he has some grudge against Zhu Yan? In the East Palace, the prince was the first to get the news that Lin Ming challenged Zhu Yan. A challenge that names someone by name, and the tip of the spear is pointed directly at him, is indeed unusual. Something must have happened between the two of them. Mu Yi also said, if there is really a grudge, then my chances of winning are even greater. This Zhu Yan is a cousin of the 10th brother. The Zhu family has been connected with the 10th brother. We prosper together and suffer together. I just don't know what grudge Lin Ming has with Zhu Yan. It seems that my information is a little bit missed. Except for Lin Xiaodong and others, few people knew about the matter between Lin Ming and Lan Yunyu, and the information collected by the prince's men was mainly about Lin Ming's background and parents, so it was impossible to be complete. Bang! The teacup in Prince Yun's hand was crushed directly. He and the crown prince received the sound transmission note at almost the same time. Named and challenged, the tip of the spear pointed directly at him. This is definitely not a good sign. If there is no grudge, why would Lin Ming skip so many people and go directly to Zhu Yan? This Zhu Yan is really causing trouble for me. The 10th prince's two sword eyebrows twisted together. Zhu Yan is from his mother's side and is considered a foreign relative. Generally speaking, whether it is a prince or an emperor, they will intentionally or unintentionally exclude foreign relatives. Since ancient times, it has been too common for foreign relatives to be in power. The queen or the empress dowager will naturally favor her family. Relying on foreign relatives will lead to the power of foreign relatives. Once the power of foreign relatives expands, they often form factions, are domineering, and have power over the government and the country. There will even be rebellion and foreign relatives seizing power. However, Prince Yun is now in a critical period of seizing the throne, so it is naturally good to have an extra helper, and Zhu Yan is also a talent, so Prince Yun is naturally willing to take him in, but this does not mean that he will take Zhu Yan as a confidant, especially when Zhu Yan is still an ambitious person. Pass it on, let Zhu Yan come to see me tonight. The 10th prince still wanted to ask Zhu Yan the reason for the feud between them, so that Zhu Yan and Lin Ming could become friends. Chapter 93 Rejection. After Zhu Yan returned to his residence, a ball of fire burned in front of him. It was a sound transmission node sent by the 10th Prince Yang Zhen, asking him to come to the prince's mansion in the evening. Zhu Yan could hear that the 10th prince's voice was very dissatisfied. Zhu Yan certainly knew why the 10th prince wanted to see him. When Lin Ming openly challenged him, the spy must have reported the situation in the field to the 10th prince. To win over Lin Ming? What a fantasy. Zhu Yan stretched out his hand and grabbed the still burning thing into ashes. The 10th prince's unfinished words also changed his voice and stopped abruptly. Zhu Yan poured himself a glass of wine and drank it with his head tilted up. His eyes changed from calm to cold. There is still a month. Do you all think that Lin Ming has won? After Lin Ming returned to his residence, he also received a sound transmission note, which came from both the 10th prince and the current crown prince. The crown prince's share was surprisingly from Mu Yi. In the sound transmission note, Mu Yi congratulated him and then invited Lin Ming to have a small gathering at the crown prince's mansion. As for the 10th prince, he wanted to invite Lin Ming to see a manor, and he also wanted to invite Lin Ming to see a secret book of the middle grade of the human rank. These two sound transmission notes actually violated the rules of the 7th profound martial house. The martial house stipulated that no force could disturb the disciples while they were in school, and there was a special array to monitor the sound transmission nodes from the outside world. However, now that it was related to the major event of the two princes fighting for the throne, the martial house would naturally make some concessions. Two forces actually want to win me over at the same time. I have too many enemies now, and my own strength is weak. It's safe in the 7 profound warriors mansion, but if I go out, I may be assassinated. Although I can make up a master, something illusory may not have deterrent power. Temporarily joining one force can protect me. Mu Yi has done me a favor, and the prince has helped me once. I owe him a favor. Joining them is a good choice. And this 10th prince seems to be the prince born by the lady of the Zhu family who entered the palace. Although Lin Ming doesn't care about politics, he still knows something about the Zhu family. The 10th prince is Zhu Yan's cousin. The Zhu family has become increasingly powerful and prosperous because of this relationship. Lin Ming can't join the 10th prince's side, so he directly refuses. As for Mu Yi's face, Lin Ming must give it, but not now. Thank you, His Royal Highness, for the invitation, but Lin Ming has already promised a month. Every second counts. I'm sorry that I can't keep the appointment as scheduled. I'll visit you in a month. In the Prince's East Palace, Mu Yi received Lin Ming's sound transmission note. He touched his beard, smiled and said, Lin Ming said he would visit you in a month. Oh. This Lin Ming is really hardworking. He can't bear to spend even one night. Mu Yi said, Your Highness doesn't know that people who practice martial arts pay attention to purity of mind. Lin Ming is now wholeheartedly pursuing the ultimate in martial arts. He has no distractions and his progress is very fast. However, if he comes to a banquet, his temperament will inevitably be disturbed. It will probably take a day or two to adjust back. I see. No wonder Lin Ming's cultivation progresses so fast. His martial arts heart accounts for a big part of the reason, right? Yes, generally, those who are weak in martial arts, once they have achieved certain results and are wooed by various forces, will easily become addicted to wealth and beauty. Such people will hardly become great. However, Lin Ming's strength has improved rapidly, not only because of his martial arts heart, but also because he has a powerful master behind him. At the beginning, Lin Ming asked Mu Yi to keep his identity as an inscription master secret, but he did not ask Mu Yi to keep the fact that he had a powerful master secret. In fact, with Lin Ming's current influence, even if his identity as an inscription master is made public, there will be no danger, but it will increase his bargaining chips. Not to mention that Lin Ming now has the protection of the prince and Mu Yi. Just the identity of the genius disciple of the 7th Zuanwu Palace is already a great deterrent. By the way, who is Lin Ming's master? The prince's eyes suddenly lit up. Mu Yi saw the look on the prince's face and knew what he was thinking. He smiled and said, Your Highness, don't count on this man. I guess this senior is at least a great success in the innate realm and may even have surpassed the innate realm. That is a height that we cannot understand. He cannot interfere in worldly affairs. Beyond the innate realm. Yang Lin's heart suddenly shook. Above the innate realm, what realm is there? Mu Yi smiled bitterly and said, I don't know. The path of martial arts, starting from the innate realm, is completely a mystery to self-taught martial artists like us who have no sect or school. I don't know how to explore it at all. What realm is after the innate realm? I don't know. Yang Lin exhaled lightly and said, Teacher, don't belittle yourself. Being able to achieve such an achievement without a sect or school is already a genius. It's just that I don't understand one thing. If Lin Ming has such a powerful master, why did he come to the seven profound martial mansion? Mu Yi said, I'm also confused about this, but I don't understand at all when it comes to the innate realm of martial arts. Maybe if you want to practice to a higher level of martial arts, you need to experience your original heart in the mortal world. So Lin Ming came to Xianan City. Well, no matter whether I can win over Lin Ming or not, I must at least become friends with him. When Lin Ming comes next month, I will certainly welcome him in person and treat him as a guest. This Lin Ming actually rejected me. In the study of Prince Yang's mansion, the 10th Prince Yang Zhen received the sound transmission talisman sent back by Lin Ming, and his face suddenly darkened. Zhu Yan, you did a good thing. For a woman, you offended such a powerful enemy. You really disappoint me. Zhu Yan stood below, silent. When he snatched Lan Yunyu, Lin Ming was still a small figure. It was easy for him to deal with him. What could be wrong with snatching a small figure's woman? Who could have expected that Lin Ming would grow into a powerful enemy so quickly? Of course, he did not explain this kind of thing, and he did not need to explain it. Yang Zhen came to him today just to get angry. Zhu Yan knew very well that his current status, including the status of the Zhu family, was obtained because of the 10th prince in front of him. The 10th prince was his master, and he could not resist him. I borrowed the power of your Zhu family because I wanted you to assist me in ascending the throne, not to cause trouble. I was confident that I could win over Lin Ming, but now, Zhu Yan, you are following me to do great things. Only fools would sacrifice their kingdom for a woman. Divorce Lan Yunyu. When the 10th prince said this, Zhu Yan frowned slightly. Your highness, even if I divorce Lan Yunyu, it will not ease the relationship between Lin Ming and me. Do you think Lin Ming will forgive the betrayal and be with Lan Yunyu again? The fight between Lin Ming and I started because of Lan Yunyu, but now it has nothing to do with Lan Yunyu. You don't need to lecture me. Of course I know. Lin Ming really won't want Lan Yunyu anymore, but if you divorce her, it's a way of showing weakness to Lin Ming and apologizing. Only in this way can we sit down and talk. Only in this way can I impress him with my favorable conditions. There are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. I will select a beautiful woman who is more beautiful than Lan Yunyu and as obedient as a kitten for him, and give him huge wealth and top level skills. How can he not work for me? What the prince can give him is nothing compared to me. Let me show weakness to Lin Ming. Zhu Yan's mouth twitched, and his fists clenched slightly. It would be more painful than killing him to let him, who was always arrogant, show weakness. Chapter 94 Obstacles. Why, you don't want to? A real man can bend and stretch, so what if he shows weakness? Don't you want me to become a complete enemy of Lin Ming because of you? Zhu Yan took a few deep breaths, and his clenched fist slowly relaxed. He had a cold look in his eyes and said slowly, Your Highness, a dead genius is no longer a genius. Humph, you want me to assassinate Lin Ming? Zhu Yan, don't you know what kind of existence the seven profound martial mansion is in Xianan country? Lin Ming is a genius that the seven profound martial mansion has not seen for 100 years. You actually ask me to assassinate him, even if he has left the martial mansion, even if he has not grown up, but you must not forget my brother, Crown Prince Yanglin. Although Yanglin is stupid, he is not stupid to the extreme. How could he not send people to protect Lin Ming? He also has masters around him, and even a Mu Yi. Once I miscalculate, once I reveal the slightest flaw, and am caught by Yanglin, then even if I kill Lin Ming, I will pay for it. By then, let alone the throne, I won't even be able to save my life. The authority of the seven profound martial mansion is inviolable. Even my father can be abolished at will. Mu Yi alone is already giving me a headache. The 18 warriors I trained, and the guest officials under my command, are barely able to deal with Mu Yi alone. If there is another grown-up Lin Ming, my chances of winning will be greatly reduced. Zhu Yan's mouth twitched, his fists sank slightly, and he said word by word, Your Highness, please give me some time, I will give you an explanation. Okay, I believe you once, but what if you disappoint me again? Zhu Yan took a deep breath, and gritted his teeth and said, If I lose, if Lin Ming can continue to grow at such a monstrous speed, then I will divorce Lan Yunyu and make amends to Lin Ming. Humph, I hope it's not too late by then. You leave. In the private room of Domination, the lights were bright and the dishes were exquisite, but Zhu Yan didn't have the slightest intention to eat at this time. Seeing that Zhu Yan didn't eat, Lan Yunai didn't dare to move her chopsticks. She guessed that Zhu Yan's troubles today were related to Lin Ming's challenge. She was caught in the middle, extremely embarrassed, and didn't dare to say a word. Today, the 10th prince summoned me. After a long silence, Zhu Yan suddenly spoke slowly. Well, say, what? Lan Yunai felt a little uneasy. She never knew what Zhu Yan was thinking. She only felt that he was gloomy and scary. He was calm one moment, but suddenly became furious the next. He was like a deep pool with a beast lurking. It seemed calm, but it contained endless murderous intent. When she was with Zhu Yan, Lan Yunai always felt an invisible pressure that made her breathless. It was not like when she was with Lin Ming in the past. She could act like a spoiled child and be petty at will, and the boy would always satisfy her unreasonable wishes with a sunny smile. Unfortunately, those days are gone forever. Lan Yunai sighed in her heart, but she didn't dare to show any distraction, because she always felt that Zhu Yan's eyes were like those of a hawk, as if he could see through his heart. He asked me to. Zhu Yan paused for a moment, looked into Lan Yunai's eyes, and said slowly, he asked me to divorce you. At that moment, Lan Yunai was stunned. She felt as if time had slowed down in an instant. Zhu Yan's face seemed to suddenly become distant, and all her hearing and touch became blurred. Although she had always maintained her innocence, she was engaged to Zhu Yan. In Qianxue country, it was an extremely shameful thing for a girl to be divorced after being engaged. It would affect her remarriage. If Zhu Yan really divorced her, what should she do? She looked at Zhu Yan's somewhat unfamiliar face, bit her lips, and tried her best not to cry, but tears still rolled in her eyes. She naturally knew the significance of the 10th prince to the Zhu family and Zhu Yan, and how much weight his words had on Zhu Yan. You agreed? Lan Yunai's voice was a little vague and choked. Not yet. Zhu Yan answered truthfully. Why? Lan Yunai subconsciously clenched the chopsticks in her hand, and her knuckles turned slightly white, because of the force. Because of Lin Ming, the 10th prince wants to win over Lin Ming, and you have become an obstacle to his winning over Lin Ming. Obstacle. Lan Yunai couldn't help but shed tears. I'm just an ordinary girl. How could I be involved in the struggle for the throne, and become an obstacle to the prince? Why is it like this? Zhu Yan said, I have about 1 to 2 months, but I don't know exactly what to do. You don't have to despair. Things may not be a foregone conclusion. After Zhu Yan finished these words, he stood up and left, pushing the door and leaving. Lan Yunai was left alone sitting on the chair, as if she had lost her soul. She knew very well that, although Zhu Yan said there was still a chance, if she really became an obstacle to his ambition one day, even if it was just a little bit, he would abandon her without hesitation. Thinking of this, Lan Yunai felt an inexplicable sadness in her heart. She left the room in a daze, and pushed open the door of the private room. In the noisy hall of Damning Pavilion, a group of young men from wealthy families who lived a life of debauchery were drinking and having fun. The exquisite bronze cups were engraved with lifelike gluttonous patterns, and their mouths were open like monsters, as if they were going to devour her. The luxuriously decorated hall, the velvet carpet, the elegant sound of stringed instruments, the exquisite jade plates and golden bowls of delicacies, these things she had dreamed of pursuing, now only made her feel particularly empty. She walked down the stairs, and walked out of Damning Pavilion. The autumn night was already very cool, and the wind blowing in her face brought the breath of cold dew, which made people feel bleak out of thin air. In fact, Zhu Yan was right. Lan Yunai understood that he said such words tonight, and she had no reason to complain. She chose Zhu Yan because he could bring her wealth and prosperity and longer youth. If one day Zhu Yan lost his status for a woman, then his woman might leave him. How could Zhu Yan not understand this truth? If you choose glory, you have to bear the bitterness behind it. But she understood this truth too late. She suddenly realized how precious she had lost. She regretted it, but not because Lin Ming had turned into a dragon with golden scales, but because she didn't know it was a blessing when she was in a good situation. When many people were shocked by Lin Ming's achievements, and when major forces took action for Lin Ming was not complacent because of his achievements. He chose to challenge Zhu Yan in a month this time, but he was not absolutely sure. Zhu Yan was the first decent enemy in Lin Ming's life. Once, Lin Ming planned to take him as a goal to surpass in his life, but now, in just half a year, Lin Ming is about to stand on the same martial arts field with Zhu Yan to fight. Lin Ming can feel Zhu Yan's resilience and extraordinariness. Zhu Yan, like Wang Yanfeng, has his own pride and unyielding will, but he is not as sharp as Wang Yanfeng, but is introverted. If Wang Yanfeng is a sword that is unsheathed, with a chill, then Zhu Yan is an arrow knife hidden in the scabbard, with a full edge. You don't know when he will be unsheathed, and the first knife he draws is often an unpredictable one. Zhu Yan is not so easily overwhelmed. He is not the eldest son of the Zhu family, but he has climbed to his current position step by step with his own strength and hard work. It is very likely that he will inherit the position of the head of the Zhu family. Such a person must be like a tough grass, with a toughness. Even if Lin Ming still has a red gold dragon marrow pill that has been amplified by the Mingaiao Fu in his hand, he is not completely sure. This month, Zhu Yan will definitely make double the efforts. But even though he knew this, Lin Ming still issued a challenge. He not only wants to challenge Zhu Yan, but also challenge himself, forcing himself into a desperate situation and stimulating his potential. This month, the resources Lin Ming can obtain have increased significantly. He can practice in the 7 killing a race for 5 whole days and obtain 5 Jueyuan pills and 5 Xinyuan stones. Jueyuan pills are nothing, but Xinyuan stones, especially the 5 whole days of practice, are extremely important to Lin Ming. 5 whole days, 60 hours, an average of 2 hours a day. Although it is not to say that he can practice as much as he wants, the effect of 2 hours is already very good. In the early morning of this day, Lin Ming carried the Guanhan gun on his back and headed for the waterfall cold pool. Just as he was about to step into the cold pool, a voice came from afar. "Brother, wait. Lin Ming paused. It was Lin Wu. "Brother, congratulations. You really made our Lin family proud this time." Lin Wu ran over happily. The Lin family used to be one of the largest families in Qianxue City, but now it has been completely surpassed by the Zhu family. There is nothing they can do about it. No matter how strong the Lin family is, it cannot compare to the Zhu family, which has a queen, and the prince born by the queen has been named a prince. This is not as good as just blaming bad luck, but what makes the elders of the Lin family the most angry is that the younger generation of the Lin family is also suppressed by the Zhu family. There is only one Zhu Yan, but he is like a mountain in front of the Lin family disciples. The strongest of the younger generation of the Lin family is Lin Wu. He spent 2 years in the 7 Zuan Wu mansion before he barely got into the Earth Hall, and his ranking was still in the middle and lower reaches. The other 2 didn't even get into the Earth Hall. The 3 together couldn't catch up with half of Zhu Yan. How could the elders of the Lin family not be angry? But yesterday, 12 long-distance sound transmission nodes were used in a chain to transmit the news from Xianan City thousands of miles away, and it was transmitted back to Qianxue City that night. Ordinary sound transmission nodes can only be transmitted dozens of miles away, while long-distance sound transmission nodes can be transmitted hundreds of miles away, but the price is high, and one needs dozens of taels of gold. It takes 12 sound transmission nodes to transmit the news from Xianan City to Qianxue City. Just the transmission of this message consumes hundreds of taels of gold. If there is no important news, even a big family like the Lin family will not waste it. 12 consecutive sound transmission notes, sent in expedited order, contained only one sentence. Lin Ming entered the 7 Profound Martial Palace 34 days ago, took the second test of the 10,000 killing formation, ranked 62nd, obtained the right to challenge the Heavenly Palace, pointed his spear directly at Zhu Yan, issued a challenge in public, and will challenge Zhu Yan in 1 month. It is said that after the head of the Lin family received this sound transmission note, he jumped up from his chair on the spot and cursed, "It's fucking awesome." Chapter 95. The Return of Wu Yi. Of course it was great. The family was suppressed by the ZHU family, and the younger generation was suppressed by ZHU Yan. Now Lin Ming was relieved, and the tip of his spear was pointed directly at ZHU Yan. He wanted to overthrow this mountain that had been suppressing the younger generation of the Lin family. How could he not be happy? So, that night, another 12 sound transmission notes were sent back to the Lin family branch in Xianan City. The instructions given by the head of the Lin family were, support Lin Ming at all costs, and be sure to create the best conditions for Lin Ming to defeat ZHU Yan in a month. So today, because of the instructions of the head of the Lin family branch asked Lin Wu to bring resources to support Lin Ming. This is. Lin Ming looked at a small porcelain bottle and a small jade box in Lin Wu's hand. The head of the family sent 12 sound transmission nodes to you in an expedited manner, and asked the family branch to give it to you, so that you can practice well, and strive to defeat ZHU Yan in a month. Lin Ming opened the porcelain bottle and the jade box, and saw that there were 10 pills in the porcelain bottle. The color was crystal clear and the taste was fragrant. It was a good medicine at first glance. High-grade Jueyuan pill. The main ingredient of ordinary Jueyuan pill is Jueyuan fruit, which is worth as much as the 100-year-old blood Ganoderma. The main ingredient of high-grade Jueyuan pill is Jueyuan fruit, which is 300 years old. Its value is 6 or 7 times higher than that of ordinary Jueyuan pill, and it is not easy to buy. Jueyuan pill cannot directly increase the strength of warriors, but can promote the warriors to condense their true essence and improve the speed of their cultivation. Although this type of pill increases strength slowly, it has no side effects and can be taken at will. Therefore, among the various pills used by warriors, Jueyuan pill has the largest consumption. The bottle of high-grade Jueyuan pill given by the Lin family is worth nearly 20,000 taels of gold. The family has invested heavily this time. Lin Ming glanced at Lin Wu and took over the jade box. After opening it, there were 2 layers of crystal-like ice-like stones neatly placed inside, the true essence stones. Lin Ming glanced and found that there were as many as 30 true essence stones in this box. 30 true essence stones are not a small amount. Moreover, looking at these true essence stones, they are crystal clear and seem to be purer than those emitted by the 7 Zuanwu Palace. This amount of true essence stones is also very valuable. Seeing this bottle of Jueyuan and this box of true essence stones, Lin Ming knew in his heart that, if he accepted this gift, it would be equivalent to tacitly agreeing that he was willing to become a direct descendant of the Lin family. Lin Wu noticed the change in Lin Ming's expression and vaguely guessed what he was thinking. He said embarrassedly, "My cousin, I know that this is icing on the cake, which is naturally not as good as helping someone in need. When you were down and out, the family didn't even have a shadow of you. Now that you have become a dragon among men, the family is sending you medicine and Xinyuan stones. It is indeed not very glorious, but there is nothing we can do about it. The family's resources are limited, and there are too many disciples in the Lin family. If every generation divided the family property equally, the Lin family would have ceased to exist long ago." Lin Ming certainly understood what Lin Wu said. Lin Ming's great-grandmother was the 3rd wife of the previous patriarch of the Lin family. It was a bit too far for this relationship to be passed down to Lin Ming's generation. The children of large families often practice polygamy and have many branches and leaves. The offspring will increase exponentially, and the property must be concentrated to ensure the continuous inheritance of the family. The family gave some of the property to the collateral disciples to manage, so that these clan members could withdraw part of the salary. This practice was already a favor to the collateral disciples. In fact, this remuneration was already a lot. If it weren't for Lin Ming's martial arts, their family would have lived a rich and abundant life. Lin Ming was a little grateful to the Lin family, but he didn't have any sense of belonging. However, Lin Ming knew that his parents had serious traditional concepts. What they couldn't forget was that one day they could return to their family. In the eyes of his parents, recognizing their ancestors and returning to their roots was the orthodoxy. Because of him, his parents' status in the family would rise, and they would even be respected and honored by the head of the family. This was an honor for his parents, and this honor was brought by him, which was what his parents hoped for. Who among parents doesn't want their children to achieve something and return home in glory? Especially Lin Ming's current aura of a genius rarely seen in the 7 Zuanwu mansion for 100 years is enough to bring honor to his ancestors and shade his descendants. Thinking this way, Lin Ming accepted the pills and the true essence stones, and said to Lin Wu, "Thank the patriarch for me. My cousin, you are too kind. The Lin family wants to thank you for fighting for us." Seeing Lin Ming accept these things, Lin Wu breathed a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that Lin Ming would still be upset about the Lin family's previous indifference. In a few months, it will be the end of the year. Lin Ming was thinking that the Zuanwu mansion would have a holiday at the end of the year, and the disciples of the Wu mansion would go home for the new year. He would also take this opportunity to go back and see his parents. The two old people have worked hard all their lives and should have a comfortable old age. After saying goodbye to Lin Wu, Lin Ming put away the pills and the true essence stones and came to the waterfall cold pond formation again with the rainbow spear on his back. Junior brother Lin, the deacon brother in charge of the waterfall cold pond, greeted Lin Ming with a smile on his face. As soon as he saw Lin Ming, junior brother Lin has made a big splash this time, ranking 62nd in the stone. Incredible, incredible, unprecedented. Lin Ming smiled and said nothing. In the past 2 days, he has heard too many similar compliments. What difficulty level do you want this time, junior brother Lin? Level 9. The highest difficulty level of the waterfall cold pond is level 12. The higher the level, the greater the increase in difficulty. Only Ling Sien could barely hold on to the level 12 difficulty for an incense stick of time, and then he had to sit in meditation and regulate his breath. So Ling Sien could only practice at the level 11 difficulty. Lin Ming jumped to levels in a month, from level 7 to level 9 difficulty. This was incredible, but Lin Ming's ranking explained everything. Okay. The deacon brother opened the level 9 difficulty without saying a word. After swallowing a high-level Jueyuan pill that accelerated the speed of cultivation, Lin Ming jumped into the cold pond with the Guanhan gun on his back. As soon as he entered the cold pond, Lin Ming felt the coldness like a needle piercing again, and the difficulty was raised to another level. Among the resources of the 7 Zuanwu Palace, Jueyuan pills and even Xinyuan stones did not need to be cherished too much. Only these 7 killing arrays were extremely precious every minute and every second, and not a single bit could be wasted. Only 2 hours passed. Lin Ming stood on the big rock under the waterfall, holding the piercing rainbow spear horizontally. The impact of the 9th level waterfall was greatly increased. After Lin Ming held the 8-foot 8-inch long piercing rainbow spear, he immediately felt the huge impact of the waterfall, pulling his arm, as if it was about to break. It was not easy to stand firmly under such a waterfall blessed by the formation. Moreover, the waterfall was extremely cold, constantly devouring the heat in the body of the cultivator. In addition, with an 820 Jin piercing rainbow spear lying across the waterfall, without condensed true essence and super strong physical strength, it would not be able to support it in a blink of an eye. Even Lin Ming was supported by absorbing the true essence in the true essence stone. The speed of absorbing true essence has obviously increased by 50%. Lin Ming was slightly surprised, and then realized that this was the effect of the high-level Jueyuan pill. The high-level Jueyuan pill cost 1,700-800 taels of gold. Eating one pill was half of a treasure. This kind of luxurious pill was indeed very effective. Lin Ming relied on this high-level Jueyuan pill and the Xinyuan stone that he used for free, and he actually managed to hold on in this extreme situation. Originally, Lin Ming thought that he could only hold on for 2/4 of an hour in one breath. But now, although his Xinyuan seemed to be exhausted, he could always rely on the timely replenishment of the high-level Jueyuan pill and Xinyuan stone to barely support himself. Although Lin Ming was in unbearable pain, he still stood firm. Staying in this state was of great benefit to Lin Ming. Not only did his spear skills improve rapidly, but even the Xinyuan body tempering was also going on simultaneously. Every bit of his muscle and internal organs were autonomously absorbing Xinyuan to resist the severe cold. No matter how much ordinary warriors practiced martial arts, there were always some corners of the body that could not be trained. When every inch of the body's muscles autonomously absorbed Xinyuan, this situation would not exist. Lin Ming held on for an hour and a half in one breath. Because of the bone-chilling cold, Lin Ming's body temperature had dropped to an extremely low level. At this time, if Lin Ming exhaled, a layer of white frost would condense. With such a low body temperature, an ordinary person would have died long ago, but the warrior still maintained his vitality with the protection of his true essence. Because of the long-term extreme state, Lin Ming's consciousness began to leave his body. Slowly, the thunderous sound of the waterfall disappeared, and Lin Ming seemed to have entered a completely silent space and time. Here, he could clearly feel every impact from the water flow, and hear his slow heartbeat, as if it was frozen. Every heartbeat was as regular as a rhythmic drum beat. At that moment, Lin Ming once again felt the ethereal state of the soul leaving the body, and no longer having a trace of thoughts in his body. Because there was no thought to pull, the true essence of the whole body operated according to the inertia of instinct. This operation route was much more perfect than the control of Lin Ming's consciousness. Lin Ming did not know that this state was the prototype of martial intention. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, The Role of the Martial Arts Heart. Lin Ming was not aware that this state was the prototype of martial will. The last time Lin Ming entered this state, he reached the first level of perfection in Chaos True Yuan Ju. After that, Lin Ming could no longer enter this state. This time, relying on the high-level Ju Yuan Dan Zenyuan Stone, and the 9th level difficulty Waterfall Cold Pool, Lin Ming entered this prototype state of martial will again after a long period of physical limit and blurred consciousness. Although Lin Ming's martial will is not perfect yet, and it is not as exaggerated as the sudden enlightenment described in the classics, it can still bring great benefits to Lin Ming. Under this kind of martial will, his cultivation and realm are rapidly improving. Martial will itself is unpredictable, and has nothing to do with aptitude, but only with the original will. And Lin Ming just has an extraordinary martial arts heart. With this, he seems to have slowly found the entry method of martial will. 2 hours passed like this, and Lin Ming's appointment time was up. Seeing that Lin Ming still didn't come out, when the time came, Zidong entered the formation, ready to remind Lin Ming, but when he looked inside the formation, he found that Lin Ming stood under the waterfall with his eyes closed. His breathing was almost stagnant, and he was motionless, as if he was dead. Seeing this scene, Zidong's eyelids jumped. After all, he had stayed in the 7 Zuanwu mansion for many years, read a lot of classics, and had a wide range of knowledge. He knew that Lin Ming must have practiced to the extreme, which was why he was like this. In this situation, practicing martial arts progresses fast. No, even if you practice martial arts with great concentration, your breathing will not be almost stagnant. This is definitely not a normal state. Junior brother Lin, is this the case? Zidong's eyes turned rapidly. If he could not sense the rich and condensed true energy fluctuations in Lin Ming's body, he would almost think that Lin Ming was frozen to death. Could it be martial will? Zidong suddenly remembered the records about martial will in the classics. Legend has it that some warriors can enter their own martial will. In this state, they can practice and make rapid progress. Ling Sen has martial intention. Such people usually have martial heart beyond ordinary people. Thinking of this, Zidong suddenly realized, yes, no wonder Lin Ming's strength has improved rapidly these days. It turns out that Lin Ming has his own martial intention. This is incredible. You know, generally people with martial intention have martial heart beyond ordinary people, but people with a strong martial heart may not have martial intention. To comprehend martial intention, you need a great opportunity, which can only be encountered but not sought. At this time, a disciple came to the outside of the waterfall cold pond formation. Brother Z, the formation is ready. Please help me open the 7th level of difficulty. I feel that I have been in good shape these days, and have made a lot of progress. Today I want to challenge a higher difficulty. This Zidong, who was in charge of the waterfall cold pond formation, was embarrassed. Brother Sun, this formation has not been vacated yet. Sun Crossing frowned slightly. The practice time of the 7 killing formations is very precious. The appointment time is how much, and not a minute or a second can be wrong, otherwise someone will suffer. Zidong's main job is to remind some disciples who are about to pass the time and let them come out early. Brother Z, this is a bit too much. What should I do with the time I lost? Who is inside? Sun Crossing was a little dissatisfied. Zedong was obviously biased towards the other party, but he couldn't get angry either. Zedong was in charge of the waterfall cold pond formation. If he offended Zedong, he would not have a good time in the future. This junior brother Lin Ming is inside. Zedong spread his hands. Lin Ming? Sun Crossing's eyes widened, and his Adam's apple rolled slightly. These days, Lin Ming's name has spread throughout Xianan City, and is even more well known in the 7 Zuanwu mansion. He is no less famous than Ling Sen, Tuoku and others. If he can really defeat Zhu Yan in a month, then he will be the most perverted monster in the 7 Zuanwu mansion in the past few hundred years. Who dares to provoke such a person? Sun Crossing quickly put away the dissatisfaction on his face. It turned out to be junior brother Lin. Senior brother Z, when can he come out? Although he didn't get angry again, it was inevitable that he felt painful. Zedong said, I don't know about this either. Junior brother Lin seems to have entered some strange state. How about this? I'm sorry for junior brother Sun today. When junior brother Lin comes out, I will ask him to make up the time for you. How about it? Zedong did not mention the matter of Wu Yi. After all, he was not sure. Sun Crossing nodded in agreement. Most people would not be willing to change the appointment time abruptly, but the person who took away the time was Lin Ming, which was another story. Sun Crossing thought about it and said, since junior brother Lin is so devoted to his practice, it is only right for me to give up my time. Ahem. Senior brother Z, just remember to mention my name when the time comes. Sun Crossing said this, of course, with the intention of currying favor with Lin Ming. Giving up time for Lin Ming to practice can be regarded as a small favor. Haha, of course. Zedong certainly understood Sun Crossing's thoughts. In this way, Lin Ming continued to practice, and actually practiced for 4 hours in a row. Suddenly waking up from this ethereal state, Lin Ming was shocked. How long had he been practicing? When he walked out of the cold pool of the waterfall, the sun was already setting. Was it afternoon? At least 3 or 4 hours. Junior brother Lin, you finally came out. Zedong hurriedly went to meet him. I saw that junior brother Lin was too absorbed in his practice, so I didn't call you. I didn't expect that you would stay for 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours? Then my appointment time has long arrived. Yes, I stopped everyone else, but junior brother Lin still has to repay this time. Is that so? Thank you so much, senior brother. Lin Ming didn't expect that he would receive such preferential treatment one day. He couldn't help but sigh. In the 7 Zuanwu mansion, strength is everything. If you have strength, you have privileges. If you don't have strength, anyone can step on you. It's just a small matter, not worth mentioning. But you, junior brother, just now seem to have entered some strange state. I noticed that your breathing was almost stagnant. Huh? Really? I didn't feel much. Lin Ming didn't have a complete concept of the ethereal state just now, but he knew that this state was very beneficial to his cultivation. Zedong hesitated for a moment and said, Junior brother Lin, if I'm not wrong, the strange state you just had might be a kind of martial intention. Martial intention? Lin Ming was slightly startled. This was the first time he heard of this concept. Well, martial intention is hard to explain. There are too few warriors with martial intention. It all depends on chance to comprehend it. Warriors with a strong heart of martial arts have a greater chance of comprehending it. Junior brother's martial heart is unmatched. Even junior brother Ling is inferior to it. You probably don't know that junior brother Ling also has a kind of martial intention of his own, so he is so powerful. Huh? Ling Sen can also enter a strange state of cultivation? Lin Ming was shocked and suddenly realized it. No wonder. Although Ling Sen's talent is only the lower 4th grade, he can be ranked first in the 7 Zuanwu Palace ranking stone for a long time. Even Zhang Guanyu, who has a 5th grade talent, is firmly suppressed by him. It has always been said that the heart of martial arts is beneficial to cultivation, but Lin Ming did not know that besides making people more diligent, the heart of martial arts has any other substantial benefits. If it is just diligence, it really makes people feel a little pale and useless. The time in a day is limited. Even if you practice while eating, How much more time can you have than others? Now he finally knows something. If a warrior with a strong heart of martial arts comprehends the meaning of martial arts, this talent can be greatly improved. Chapter 97 Instructor Hangzi. Brother, do you know what senior brother Ling's martial intention is? Lin Ming knew nothing about this strange state of cultivation, so he wanted to ask and learn more. I don't know about this. I only know that junior brother Ling's martial intention is called Shura. I think it is related to killing. He seems to be able to enter this state of cultivation at will, so his strength increases very fast. He is much stronger than junior brother Tuoku, who ranks second. However, his cultivation is not as good as junior brother Tuoku. Junior brother Tuoku has entered the bone forging realm, while junior brother Ling Sien is still at the peak of Yijin. So that's it. It seems that there are many kinds of martial intentions, which vary from person to person. I wonder if my ethereal martial intention is better or worse than Ling Sien's Shura martial intention? Back at his residence, Lin Ming felt as light as a swallow. He did not feel any fatigue after 3.5 hours of high-intensity cultivation. The rainbow spear on his back seemed as light as wood, and did not hinder Lin Ming's movements at all. Although I failed to break through the second level of the Chaos True Essence Art after 3.5 hours of practice, I have vaguely touched the threshold. If I can enter the ethereal martial intention once or twice, I should be able to break through completely. By then, my strength will increase a lot, and maybe I won't be much different from Ling Sien. Because of practicing the Chaos Gang Dao Sutra, strength has always been my strong point, but strength does not represent all combat power. I wonder where Ling Sien's strong point is. Ling Sien can enter the Ashura martial intention at any time. When can I enter the ethereal martial intention anytime and anywhere? While Lin Ming's practice was progressing by leaps and bounds, Zhu Yan was also practicing his hellish practice. It is no exaggeration to say that this battle in a month may be the most important battle in his life. He must not lose. Zhu Yan held a long sword, and the sword light was as dense as a spider web. In front of him, the golden armored soldiers formed by energy exploded one by one. This was the gold formation among the 7 killing formations of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, and thunder. The golden armored soldiers. In the 10,000 killing formation in the Linglang Tower, the enemies killed by the trialists were all illusions, and the trialists themselves did not move at all. However, the 7 killing formations were different. This was a real killing formation, and any golden armored soldier was a real energy form. Here, if you are not careful, you will get hurt. Although the formation itself has a certain judgment ability and will automatically stop attacking when the trialists can no longer support it, there have been accidents in history where trialists were seriously injured or even died. Of course, death is a minority after all, so the golden armored soldier formation is not as effective as Ling Sien's Shura practice. Brother Zhu is amazing. He can hold on for so long at level 10 difficulty. Well, it's been 3/4 of an hour, and the formation has not weakened. This proves that Brother Zhu has not been injured, and has not run out of energy. I don't think it will be easy for Lin Ming to defeat Brother Zhu in a month. Well, although Lin Ming is a monster, Brother Zhu is not a pushover. I also think Brother Zhu can win. This is level 10 difficulty. I will be killed instantly, as soon as I go up. As time passed, the attention of the disciples of the 7 Zuanwu mansion on the gambling fight between Lin Ming and Zhu Yan in a month not only did not cool down, but intensified. During this period, some interesting phenomena occurred. In the 7 Zuanwu mansion library, the basic exercises selected by Lin Ming suddenly became popular exercises. A set of basic spear techniques had 4 names written below it, and basic steps also had 3 names below it. Because of Lin Ming's appearance, 4 new disciples of the Hall of Humanity who had not chosen a weapon in the 7 Zuanwu mansion chose guns as their weapons. However, the set of body-crushing fists that Lin Ming chose was still not in demand. Because in the eyes of these new students, it seemed that Lin Ming himself had not mastered this set of body-crushing fist. This body-crushing fist itself is a high-level skill above the earth rank. Even if it is complete, it is extremely difficult to practice, and the defect rate is as high as 70%. If Lin Ming has mastered it, then the word evil is not enough to describe him. The elders of the library only smiled bitterly at the phenomenon of low-level disciples choosing basic skills. Many low-level disciples admired Lin Ming, and as a result, they pursued the skills and weapons that Lin Ming practiced. However, Lin Ming's strength was not due to these things. These new disciples chose guns, but how much power could they exert? In the early morning, the air of heaven and earth was rich. Lin Ming grabbed the butt of the Guanhang gun with one hand and stretched his arm to one side. He closed his eyes, and his mind was completely integrated with the mountains and trees, calm and empty. He was experiencing the empty martial spirit he had realized. When he could enter the empty martial spirit anytime and anywhere without relying on high-level Jiu and Danan Zinyu and Stone, then Lin Ming's martial spirit would be considered to be a small success. In such a silent state, Lin Ming suddenly opened his eyes. Just now, he seemed to feel someone approaching. Although he was in the relatively safe Kixanwu mansion, Lin Ming was still full of vigilance. After all, he had made many enemies. Well, vigilance is good. A slightly deep voice sounded in Lin Ming's ears. A man with a long spear on his back and wearing red armor appeared like a ghost, and his feet landed on the tip of Lin Ming's spear. As a result, the Guanhang spear bent a slight arc, but Lin Ming still held the spear steadily. Good arm strength, the man exclaimed. Instructor Hang? Lin Ming was slightly stunned. The person who landed on the tip of his spear was his instructor Hangzi. You really made me proud this time in the 10,000 killing formation. You ranked 62nd and challenged ZHU Yan. You are so courageous. Lin Ming said, thank you Instructor Hang for the compliment, but ZHU Yan, I'm not sure I can win. Well, ZHU Yan is not a simple character either. When he first entered the 7 Profound Martial Palace, his performance was similar to that of Wang Yanfeng. Although he was far less talented than you, he entered the school 2.5 years earlier than you. In these 2.5 years, he has soared from a person with the same strength as Wang Yanfeng to his current ranking. In another year or two, when Ling Sen and his group graduate, ZHU Yan will be in the top 10 of the new class of the 7 Profound Martial Palace, and may even be in the top 5. In other words, your opponent this time is a strong competitor for the top 5 of the 7 Profound Martial Palace in the future. You have chosen a strong enemy for yourself. Lin Ming was naturally aware of what Hangzi said. He said, Instructor Hang, I understand ZHU Yan's strength, and I also know that it will be very difficult for me to surpass him in a month. It's just that when that deacon asked me who I wanted to challenge, I had a strong desire to challenge ZHU Yan in my heart. I didn't want to suppress this thought, so I just acted casually and declared war on ZHU Yan. Haha, good. What a casual decision. People who practice martial arts should act casually. Only when the thoughts in your heart are satisfied, the meridians in your body will be unblocked, and the true energy will flow unimpeded. You made a good choice. You are courageous. From today on, I will teach you how to use the spear. After all, I'm your instructor, and naturally I don't want to see my soldiers lose to others. Chapter 98 7 Kinds of Martial Intentions. Lin Ming was overjoyed when he heard Hangzi say this. He only had a book called Basic Spear Techniques and could only learn the basics. If he had someone to guide him, he would naturally improve faster. Hangzi said, I have been in the army for 10 years. During these 10 years of military career, I only learned to use the gun. Before that, I used the sword. The gun is the king of all weapons. I haven't learned it to perfection, so I can only teach you the gun skills I have learned over the years. But before I start, let me ask you a question. Have you realized a special state of practice? Lin Ming was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Hangzi also knew it. He nodded and said, yes. Sure enough, your comprehension is good. Your state of practice is probably one of the top ones. Otherwise, with your talent, it would be impossible to achieve such results in such a short time. This is due to your martial arts heart. However, even for people with strong martial arts hearts, many do not have the opportunity to comprehend a special state of practice. This state is called martial intent. There are very few people who possess martial intent. Even in a place like the 7 Profound Martial Mansion where geniuses gather, there has only been one person, Ling Sen, in the past few decades. Unexpectedly, there is you now. Oh, so few? Lin Ming suddenly understood. No wonder he had never heard of this thing before. Yes, so the existence of martial intent has always been mysterious, because there are too few people who have comprehended it, and there are not many classics left to describe it, and the martial intent of each warrior is different, and the effects are also different. Lin Ming said, "Instructor, I don't understand, since senior brother Ling Sen has comprehended such a rare martial intent, and his strength is known as invincible in the same level in Qianxue country, why can't he be selected as a core disciple? What kind of monsters are the core disciples of the Qianxue mansion?" Hongzi said, "At the beginning, the people of the Qianxue Valley did pay attention to Ling Sen, and they almost chose him as a core disciple. However, in the end Ling Sen failed to pass the assessment to become a core disciple, so he was rejected, just one step away." Assessment? Lin Ming's heart moved. Yes, some warriors who do not meet the rigid standards of the 7 profound martial houses have to pass the assessment if they want to become core disciples. The assessment that Ling Sen faced at the beginning was to defeat any core disciple who was the same age as Ling Sen, or older than Ling Sen, and reach the peak of the 4th level of physical training at the age of 17. Ling Sen defeated a core disciple who was half a year older than him, but unfortunately, he was not able to raise his cultivation to the peak of the 4th level of physical training at the age of 17, so he missed this step. Is it because brother Ling Sen's talent for cultivation is not good? Yes, I just said that there are many kinds of martial intent. Ling Sen's martial intent is Ashura, and he experienced endless fighting in the Ashura battlefield. The main function of this martial intent is to improve the warrior's fighting instinct, explosive power, and killing ability. However, it has little effect on improving the warrior's cultivation, but it is only beneficial for breaking through bottlenecks. Hongzi said this with a hint of regret. A warrior's combat effectiveness and cultivation are two different things. Combat effectiveness is strength, and cultivation is a realm, such as the first level of physical training, the second level of physical training, the meridian condensation stage, and the acquired stage. Cultivation is an important factor that affects the combat effectiveness of warriors, but it is not the only factor. Martial arts, combat instincts, combat skills, combat experience, and the degree of condensation of true essence will all affect combat effectiveness, so there are cross-level battles. However, for warriors, cultivation is the foundation. If your cultivation is not good, no matter how strong your combat effectiveness is, it will be useless. A warrior of the first level of physical training can never beat a warrior of the condensed vein stage. This is the absolute gap brought by cultivation. Moreover, the lifespan of a warrior is also closely related to cultivation. If Ling Sen is only strong in combat effectiveness, but his cultivation is not high, and he cannot reach the innate level, then he has no value for cultivation for the big sects. So Ling Sen was eliminated. Hongzi sighed. If Ling Sen's talent can be improved by even half a step, for example, to the middle level of the 4th rank, he will have a great chance of being selected by the 7 profound valley. His Ashura martial spirit can keep people on the brink of life and death for a long time, which is conducive to breaking through bottlenecks. This is what the 7 profound valley values. Unfortunately, the Ashura martial spirit does not have much benefit for the usual accumulation of true essence. Lin Ming asked, "Instructor Hong, does that mean that senior brother Ling Sen will never be selected by the 7 profound valley?" "Yes, but it's too difficult. One possibility is that he can break through the condensing veins realm before the age of 22. This is a rigid standard of the 7 profound valley. As long as he breaks through the condensing veins realm before the age of 22, he can enter the 7 profound valley. But with Ling Sen's current progress in cultivation, it is unlikely. The second is that Ling Sen can comprehend another martial spirit, preferably a martial spirit that is beneficial to improving his cultivation. In this case, I'm afraid the entire 7 profound valley will pay attention to Ling Senator. There are few people in the world who comprehend 2 martial spirits. 2 martial spirits? There can be 2 more martial spirits? Lin Ming was also surprised. Well, but it's very difficult, so difficult that it makes people despair. This kind of situation is completely extinct in the area of hundreds of thousands of miles under the jurisdiction of the 7 Xuanwu prefectures, let alone the Qianxue kingdom. I have only seen it in the classics. such as the widely circulated legend about sudden enlightenment. The great man named Emperor Shaka has 7 kinds of martial intent. 3,000 years ago, he sat in meditation under the Bodhi tree for 7 days and 7 nights, and these 7 kinds of martial intent actually merged into one. Emperor Shaka therefore had a great enlightenment, broke several martial arts shackles, and finally cultivated an indestructible golden body, breaking the void with martial arts. Hongxi's words shocked Lin Ming. 7 kinds of martial intent. What is this concept? And he also merged these 7 kinds of martial intent into one. This kind of person is really a god or devil in the sky. When Lin Ming heard the legend of the sudden enlightenment under the Bodhi tree before, he didn't believe it in his heart. It was too exaggerated to sit in meditation for 7 days and 7 nights, to have a great enlightenment, break several martial arts shackles, and break the void with martial arts. You know, the higher you go in the martial arts, the harder it is. Some people often spend hundreds of years to break through a bottleneck. But this Emperor Sakai can break through the bottleneck of martial arts, and his cultivation level rises several levels at once. Isn't this nonsense? Now, after listening to Hongxi's description, Lin Ming began to believe it. The 7 kinds of martial intent combined into one are terrifying to think about. Hongxi said, Lin Ming, describe your martial intent now, and I will judge which one it is. This is crucial to your future development. Lin Ming nodded and described his martial intent. Hongxi thought for a moment and said, the ethereal martial intent you mentioned should be the kind that improves cultivation. The consciousness leaves the body, and the true energy operates spontaneously according to instinct, so the operating circuit can reach perfection. There are too many kinds of martial intent, which vary from person to person, but very few are accorded. I have never heard of your kind of martial intent before, and I can't judge the specific effect, but seeing that your cultivation is improving by leaps and bounds now, the effect should be very good. Your martial intent is stronger than Ling Sen's, and it is even possible that the 7 Profound Valley will choose you as a core disciple. Of course, like Ling Sen, you also have to pass the assessment. This assessment is very difficult to pass, and it depends on whether your martial intent is against the will of heaven. Core disciple. Lin Ming was silent. Chapter 99 The Power of Vibration. Core disciples? Lin Ming was silent. He felt that the 7 Mysterious Valley was like a huge vampire, squeezing the cultivation resources of hundreds of thousands of miles around, causing the martial artists of small countries to be short of cultivation resources. After reaching the acquired realm of martial arts, it was difficult to make any further progress. Then the 7 Mysterious Valley opened the 7 mysterious martial palaces in various countries, and in a superior manner, it gave away resources and skills, and selected the best talents for their use. The royal families of small countries knew this, but because they were afraid of the 7 Mysterious Valley, and hoped to get the support and protection of the 7 Mysterious Valley, they were willing to offer national resources with both hands, causing the prices of the few remaining resources in the country to be frighteningly high. Martial artists like Lin Ming, even if they have talent, have no money to practice martial arts. This naked interest relationship between the 7 Mysterious Valley and the royal family of Xianan Kingdom made Lin Ming feel very uncomfortable. If it weren't for the 7 Mysterious Valley, I would not have created such a big burden for my family when I practiced martial arts before. This 7 Mysterious Valley is really hateful, Lin Ming thought in his heart. But if I want to achieve a higher level of martial arts, I have to become a core disciple. Otherwise, I don't have the resources. Let's wait until I have enough strength to talk about everything. Okay Lin Ming, I have told you everything I wanted to tell you. Your advantage lies in your martial arts heart, but you can't compare to Zhu Yan in terms of combat skills. Moreover, the most important point is that you don't know any martial arts. You only use the most basic Jian along out to sea to defeat Zhang Kang. I asked you not to choose the body-shattering fist but you insisted. It's too late to learn martial arts now, but it's already been chosen. Martial arts are up to you. There's nothing to regret. Even if I forced you to change your mind, you wouldn't be open-minded if your thoughts were not satisfied. Now I want to hone your basic marksmanship so that you can defeat Zhu Yan with basic marksmanship. But I tell you in advance that Zhu Yan knows 3 kinds of martial arts. You have to be mentally prepared. Lin Ming said, I understand, Instructor Han. Now, you attack me. I want to see your marksmanship. Then I won't be polite. Lin Ming shook his hand, and the Guanhang spear jumped into his hand. With this shaking force, the tip of the spear was actually buzzing and vibrating. The elastic force contained in the purple crow bullet iron was amazing. Even a little vibration could break people's bones. You can shake the purple crow bullet iron with ease. You have good strength. Hongzi laughed and pulled out the spear on his back. The dragon is out of the sea. Lin Ming shouted, holding the gun with both hands, and suddenly rushed forward, stabbing with the gun. As the gun was stabbed out, Lin Ming's momentum soared, and the airflow around him changed. It seemed that an invisible vortex appeared in Lin Ming's hand, gathering the surging momentum, and integrating it into Lin Ming's spear. Hongzi's eyes showed admiration. He moved sideways a step, pressed the gun down, aimed the gun tip at Lin Ming's gun head, and stabbed it hard. However, this force of picking did not pick Lin Ming's gun away. The gun was like a molten golden iron, and the direction did not change much, and it still stabbed towards Hongzi. This was the realm of a spear as steady as a cast that Lin Ming had reached after practicing spear countless times under the cold pond waterfall. Hongzi's eyes flashed. Good spear. Hongzi exerted force suddenly, and the true energy on the spear surged, forcibly knocking Lin Ming's spear away. Then he took the spear and suddenly stepped forward, and the tip of the spear stabbed at Lin Ming's throat like a venomous snake. Hongzi's spear was twice as fast as Lin Ming's. In the time it took Lin Ming to stab out one spear, he fired two in a row. Hongzi thought that this move would be over. With his 6th level physical training, and the peak of the meridian condensation, he could easily deal with Lin Ming, who was in the 3rd level of physical training, even if he only used 30% of his strength. But he didn't expect that he was wrong. Seeing this spear stabbing, Lin Ming's spear was outside, and he had no time to block it. He actually freed his right hand, and slammed it towards the tip of Hongzi's spear. At that moment, the breathing frequency of the small units in Lin Ming's body was completely shaken, and the true energy vibrated rapidly, pouring into his right hand. Hongzi saw Lin Ming waving his bare hand at the high-speed spear tip, and his heart was suddenly startled. This Lin Ming. The moment Lin Ming's palm touched the spear tip, Hongzi felt a strong vibration coming from the spear, making him almost unstable. What's going on? Hongzi had naturally heard that when Lin Ming fought Zhang Kang before, he used his hand to push away Zhang Kang's narrow knife. At that time, Hongzi only thought that Lin Ming saw through Zhang Kang's attack trajectory and avoided the blade, so he succeeded in one blow, but now it seems that it may not be that simple. Hongzi was a master in the condensation meridian stage after all. He exerted force with both hands and immediately offset the trembling force on the spear shaft. At this time, Lin Ming's second shot came. Sweep the army. Hongzi was already unable to block, and jumped up to avoid the attack. However, even so, Lin Ming's gun swept out, but it brought a strong wind, and this wind actually brought a strange tremor. After being swept by the wind, Hongzi felt that his heartbeat and blood were slightly affected, making his chest stuffy. This made Hongzi horrified. He was a martial artist who had reached the 6th level of the condensation meridian stage. His meridians had already been opened up, and his true essence had tempered his whole body without a single leak. In this case, he was swept by Lin Ming's gun wind, and felt a slight discomfort. Although it did not cause any harm, if it was a martial artist in the Zhang training stage, he might have vomited blood in an instant. What kind of skills did this kid learn? I thought I could capture him with one move, but now he has been dragged for 3 rounds. If I still can't deal with him, where will my face as a teacher be? Hongzi raised another 20% of his strength, spun in the air, and the long spear fell like a rainstorm. Bang! Lin Ming raised his gun to fight back, but this time, he felt that Hongzi's gun seemed to contain endless power. His gun could not compete with it at all, and was directly swept away. Crack. The tip of the gun appeared on Lin Ming's neck like a ghost. The sharp cold light made Lin Ming's hair stand on end. The battle was over. Hongzi put away the gun. Good boy, you hit it really well. No wonder Zhang Kang was killed by your palm, punch, and gun. If I'm not much better than you, I will be in your trap today. Hongzi looked Lin Ming up and down, thinking back to the strange vibration just now. Where did Lin Ming learn it from? Lin Ming could not have learned this powerful move by himself. He must have learned it from a jade slip. Thinking back, Lin Ming only selected 3 jade slips from the library: basic spear technique, basic steps, and body crushing bone fist. Hongzi had certainly read basic spear technique. In fact, everyone who served in the army had to read basic spear technique. However, the basic spear technique in the Kixanwu Mansion's library had some more techniques for refining true essence, and there was no difference in spear moves. This kind of vibration was definitely not something in basic spear technique, let alone basic steps. So could it be body crushing bone fist? Question mark? Chapter 100. The text has been updated. Written before the release. Wu Qianxue will be available at midnight. Due to the website delay, the exact time of availability should be between 1500 hours and 30:00 in the morning, which is more than 4 hours away. First of all, I would like to thank every book friend who has rewarded, evaluated, urged, recommended, collected, and clicked Wuji. Thank you for your support along the way. Thank you to my editor Kang Kang for giving Wuji such a good recommendation opportunity. Wuji is already the 3rd book of Kanjian. It has been nearly 3 years since I uploaded Warcraft Multitower, The World of Otherworldly Winds in early 2010. 3 years is not a short period of time in life. During this period, many of my book friends have gone from junior high school to high school, some have passed the college entrance examination, some have graduated from college and started working, and some have married and had children. Whenever a book friend tells me that he is going to experience such a major event in life, Kanjian will send a blessing on questions. Unknowingly, everyone has changed so much. 3 years, 3 books, each book is a memory, a period of time. Every period of time means growth and change, and is a footprint on the journey of life. This is the 3rd time that Silkworm Cocoon has been put on the shelves. However, even though it has been put on the shelves so many times, I'm still uneasy. For an author, every time a book is opened, it is a double test of the mind and body. Writing a book is a physical job. Without a good body, you can't endure it. There are fewer outbreaks before the shelf, which is relatively easy, but the pressure is not easy. Every change in the list, and every increase in the collection, are a test of the author's psychology. For the author, the listing of a book is like a student facing the college entrance examination, and the day of the shelf is the time when the results are issued. Silkworm Cocoon has been writing carefully in the previous preparations, but the results of the shelf at 10:10 more than 4 hours later depend on everyone's contribution. Here, I sincerely ask for a subscription. Subscription is the lifeblood of a book, which is related to the quality of the editor's recommendation and the success or failure of a book. In addition to subscription, there is another extremely important indicator, that is, monthly tickets. The monthly tickets of the new book month are crucial, which are related to the monthly ticket list on the homepage. This is an extremely important recommendation for the author, and the monthly ticket list has always been full of wars and smoke. Please vote for the precious monthly ticket. Kanjian will try to update. As for the plot, I will not let you down. The plot after the release will be a continuous climax. Monthly tickets and rewards are favors, and Kanjian will remember every favor in his heart. Subscription is a duty. Please click the next subscription, so that Wu Qianxue can go further. November 1st, 015. Please subscribe. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Thank you everyone. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.